Greetings and salutations. I'm the fallen angel Christopher Daniels.
This is NXT superstar Dexter Loomis.
This is the former intellectual savior of the masses, now known as Aaron Stevens, your NWA third-degree national champion.
Hey, this is Big Sexy Kevin Nash.
Yes, it is I, Big E, but more importantly, it is you, the people of YouTube.
You are watching Good Mic Work Commentaries, the work of a hard-working fellow by the name of Greg Morgan, 10-year veteran here on the YouTube scene.
You know, this guy who runs this YouTube channel, he's a 10-year YouTube vet.
I know you've been a fan for like 40 years. I've only been doing it for 30, so I guess we're fans together there for 10 of it.
This is Darby Allin, and you're watching the Good Mic Work Commentaries.
Good Mic Work Commentaries.
Good Mic Work Commentaries.
Good Mic Work Commentary. Yeah, you better watch this channel. You better watch all the videos.
Check out Good Mic Work Commentaries on YouTube.
Check them out.
If you don't, we're gonna have a problem.
You're welcome.
WWE Payback 2020 is in the books. What's going on, guys? Glad you're here again. We are on night 3 of 4 in a row here, live streaming on the YouTube channel, and we have a brand new Universal Champion as we, so I got a hair on my webcam. As we predicted and as we assumed, Roman Reigns would walk out of the pay-per-view tonight as champion. That is the case. We're here to talk about it. We're here to talk about what's good about the pay-per-view and a couple of parts of the pay-per-view that I thought were kind of letdowns and a few things I was expecting that we didn't see. Now, I want to make sure we don't have any technical difficulties tonight, so let me make sure I can be heard. Glad you're here. All right. I don't sound like Darth Vader. I'm not silent, nothing like that. Great. I was kind of scrambling to get up here. I didn't want you guys to wait too long, so I didn't do any sound checks, nothing like that. But anyway, here we are. To talk about Payback. In terms of predictions, I did pretty well. I think the only match I got wrong was the tag team title match with Sasha and Bayley. I'm pretty sure I predicted them to retain, and they did not. Other than that, I got everything pretty much right on the head, including the main event, although I was expecting a lot more out of the main event. What'd you guys think about it? I mean, I cannot believe we went through that entire pay-per-view without getting any retribution stuff. I mean, the name of the pay-per-view is Payback. I was under the assumption that they may have purposely held them off from SummerSlam, making a big splash in order to do it here instead, you know, to kind of spread out all of, you know, everything, since we're not having, you know, 5-hour pay-per-views and stuff right now, and they were nowhere to be found. So maybe the angle has been dropped. So that was kind of surprising. The Keith Lee and Randy Orton match was slightly surprising as well. And, you know, the rest of the stuff, we had good wrestling on the show tonight, really good wrestling, but I think a lot of these matches at the same time could have taken place on Raw or SmackDown or whatever. But, you know, all in all, I'm going to give Payback a pretty decent grade. Nothing crazy. I might just go C+ on this one. I certainly didn't hate the show at all, but I gotta admit I was maybe expecting a little bit more than what we got. What do you guys think? Agree? Disagree? Whatever. For those of you that are here for the third night in a row, I appreciate it. We were up here on Friday doing, the hell do we do on Friday? We were up here Saturday night for Friday for predictions. Yesterday, oh yes, Friday after the Roman Reigns swerve happened at the end of SmackDown. Then we were up here yesterday for predictions. Now we're here for the review, and we'll be up here tomorrow night too for Monday Night Raw after the show for a review. 5.5, okay. I can live with anybody's going to give it a 5 or a 6. You know, this pay-per-view didn't knock my socks off by any means. A lot of it, I found myself, you know, a couple times I was bored. You know, I was trying to appreciate at least the matches, because when you don't have to worry about commercials and stuff, you can really concentrate on a match like Matt Riddle and Corbin or Big E and Sheamus, where if this would have been taking place on TV like SmackDown, I wouldn't have given a shit, because we would have had 5 commercial breaks and all this different stuff going on. So the matches I thought were fine, but there was only a couple of matches that really had true meaning here. You know, Big E and Sheamus, they kind of just threw together, and a lot of this other stuff they did too, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how you guys gauge it as we go through and talk about the results here and what some of your results are. You're going to say the same thing as me, I guess, C+. Madeline, good to see you. You love the show and how short it was, and that's what I think is going to be the norm. If you notice, this is a 1995 pay-per-view. It ended actually less than that. It was a 2.5-hour show, I think. It ended about 35 past the hour, and it took me about 15 minutes to come up here and get ready. So, pay-per-views back in the 90s with the, pay-per-view companies and everything, you had 2 hours and 45 minutes. And I think they were gracious enough to give you maybe a 15-minute overrun there or something, but it was less than 3 hours. And then in modern times with these WrestleManias, some of them getting up to 6 hours, I'm glad to see that they're not trying to do that in the Thunderdome, because I think that will grow old. I think shorter is better, at least for right now. And it's kind of nice to know that you don't have to, set aside a whole entire chunk of your night just to watch one show. It's over rather quickly. And they had a lot of these matches knocked out quick. They were burning through them. The first 4 matches were done in the first hour and 15 minutes of the show. So things were going quickly at first. And I had a feeling it was going to be a pretty short and sweet pay-per-view. And that's what it was. Kind of felt like the old days of In Your House or something. D+ from Joseph Finchman. Okay, I'm going to be kinder than D+. I'm going to be less kind than A+. I'm going to be somewhere around Melissa's area or homie cow. 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10, something like that. Pre-show had one match, that's right, that was announced earlier on, or was it yesterday, I think. They announced Ruby and Liv versus the Iconics, and I'm like, I predict who gives a fuck via disqualification. Like, I don't care who wins that at all. But we will talk about that match in a minute, because it was kind of a throwaway match, but the ending was weird to me. I don't know if you guys noticed that. So yeah, we'll just kind of chit-chat here for a minute, let people gather in. Don't know what kind of an audience we're going to have. We've had some really good numbers this past week, so we'll see what we wind up with tonight. Be sure to smash that thumbs up. And if you send any super chats in, I will be sure to answer them. I do think I missed one last night. I overlooked it from my man Antoine. Sent a $20 super chat in, but he'd also sent a bunch of other ones in, and it got mixed up in the scramble. And I thought I saw people say, like, oh, you missed one, and I didn't realize it was you, Antoine, so I apologize for that. George Morris, good to see you, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for the 5. Payback, 0 out of 10 again. I love you, your comments. You're the best. Payback, 0 out of 10. Hey, Greg, how are you doing? What is new? Paul Steed is a very sick man who was sentenced to 58 years in prison. Be safe. Didn't you send that last week? Are you a bot? Are you a bot who's paying me? I love it. But appreciate you hanging out, George Morris, 0 out of 10. All right. Man, I'd hate for you to grade my final exams. That would suck. All right. And Victor Galone, good to see you as well. Appreciate the 2. Hi, good mic work. I got into the Thunderdome. Did you? Congratulations. There was a couple people on the Thunderdome I thought I might have recognized tonight. And like I said, I'm still yet to try to apply for it. Seems pretty easy. And it's cool. Like, I wonder, you can probably answer me this, or anybody else that's been in the Thunderdome. Can you, like, if you have a YouTube channel, can you live stream at the same time? Maybe not on the same machine, but I have 2 computers, so I could essentially, Thunderdome on one machine and live stream my reaction on another, and I can be on YouTube and the Thunderdome. Am I allowed to do that, or is there like a clause in the agreement there? I don't know, but that might be fun if I do get accepted into the Thunderdome. Maybe I'll live stream it, but something tells me you're not allowed to do that, because I think other people would already have been doing it. So we'll see. Joey G, good to see you, man. Welcome back. Yeah, they didn't pin the Fiend. We weren't expecting them to. I mean, especially with Braun being in there and stuff. And I feel like, with them making that match at SummerSlam, Falls Count Anywhere, you can't do anything. You can't, like, get out of it. You're painted into a corner. Even if you don't want to put the belt on the Fiend, you kind of have to. Because last time, when they did that in the cell and they put themselves in that position, they're like, oh, we'll just do a no disqualification, or we'll just do a disqualification in a match where those things aren't even supposed to exist. It was like, well, you just killed your entire Hell in the Cell concept here. So I wouldn't have wanted to see them do that to the Falls Count Anywhere match. So I feel like they had to have Fiend go over. And then, Roman can win the belt tonight by not picking him. And that match had a whole lot of dimensions to it. We'll get into it here later on. I'm going to kind of go in order, I think, of the matches here, because what we saw in the main event, I think, was interesting, but it wasn't like earth-shattering, Twitter-breaking stuff. We kind of had a feeling Roman was going to come out there and win the belt. I thought it would, we'd have a little bit more tied to it than that. We saw no new music from Roman tonight, if you noticed that, but, he wrestled in the T-shirt, so maybe they're still trying to figure out how he's going to look. I feel like if they were going to keep the old Shield Riot gear, he would have just came out in that, so for them to, hold that off again, he's basically out there in street clothes winning the title. It's interesting. It makes me think they're really going to unveil some really awesome new look on SmackDown this Friday. I hope that they do. That would be awesome. Joey, good to see you again. Thanks for the $2. Braun's trying to look like you with that haircut. He's got a long way to go. You can't, you can't rush perfection. You have to work on that. And Strowman, he's got a ways. Antoine, appreciate that, man, for the $5. Miss my what? I just got here. Bro, so close on my prediction, that close. I still like that finish, though. Heel Roman rules. Heel Roman does rule. Now, Antoine had a whole bunch of ideas last night about Roman, like, taking advantage of things and, maybe getting his hands on the briefcase and shit like that. And before you got here, I was saying, Antoine, that I think I missed one of your $20 super chats last night. It kind of got jumbled in with the others, and I overlooked it or something like that. But a lot of your ideas were pointing to Roman kind of being sketchy. And I was kind of resisting it. I'm like, that doesn't seem like Heyman's style to me. Like, Heyman doesn't do those type of things, with contracts to try to, put everything in his client's favor and give him unfair advantages, because he's always relied and been very confident on the ability of his clients. Like, he's never really wavered from that. So I thought Roman coming out and doing like a chicken shit heel type of thing wouldn't fit the type of client that Paul Heyman represents. But, Roman wasn't necessarily a chicken shit heel or anything tonight, but he definitely tried to take the easy way out. And I got to apologize, too. We came up here so fast on Friday that I guess I didn't realize that Roman didn't sign the contract on SmackDown. I knew he had some issues with it, and, like, he wanted Heyman to look it over and stuff. But I thought once Heyman was revealed, the contract was kind of signed. I just kind of got that goofed up there. So it wasn't until tonight that, when Heyman was interviewed, they were asking him, is he going to sign the contract? Is he going to be here? And I'm like, oh, shit. So that right there makes it smell fishy, like super fishy, that he's going to come out late or he's going to wait for everything to run its course and then come and, pick the bones clean. And then you could have added the briefcase into that because Braun and the Fiend were destroying each other in the main event. I thought maybe Otis could come out at the end of that, or like if they both went through the table or a table or did something where they're both laying there motionless, Otis can come out, cash in the briefcase, and actually win. But then Heyman writes some special goofy shit in the contract that allows Roman to then come out and immediately beat Otis right there. Say, the reason we want to look over this contract is because if Roman was not pinned or if Roman was not involved in the finish, then he gets an automatic rematch, and we're invoking that clause right now. Roman Reigns versus Otis, and Roman spears Otis and wins. And then you're out of the briefcase deal. Then you don't have to worry about, okay, shit, we can't give Otis the title, but he's got the briefcase, so what do we do here? And he can technically have like a 30-second long title run. I would have liked to see that. That would have accomplished the same thing and made Roman look, pretty much the same way. But Roman coming out at the very end, letting those two guys kill each other, and then coming out and signing the contract, I wasn't aware that that's how it worked. I'm not sure if that makes a ton of sense, but come on. Somebody actually just said that to me on Twitter. Like, that was kind of weird how he just came out and signed the contract. It didn't make sense. It's very true, but we've seen dumber stuff. WWE's done a whole bunch of weird shit. People entering Royal Rumbles without being in them, entering Elimination Chambers. And I know it's on the tip of my brain here, but I know there's been multiple triple threats where the third guy doesn't come out to the end, right? There's plenty of those. I suppose I was kind of at one. I just did my 20th anniversary review of SummerSlam 2000. And Kurt Angle was knocked out. He had to be taken away. He was gone for the whole match, came back at the end. So the contract thing I understand, though. If the match has already started, once the bell rings, that should void the contract. So I almost think that, like, he should have signed it, but then still waited to come out or something. So the contract thing was a nice little touch. Didn't bother me too much because we've seen a lot dumber stuff that WWE's had to try to explain away. So this should be very easy. This should be a piece of cake for them to make that make sense. And I didn't necessarily hate it, but as the match was going on, I was thinking we were going to see Retribution. We talked about that last night as well. I thought we would see him in the Keith Lee, Randy Orton match, and we didn't. So then I was like, well, shit, we're probably going to see him in the main event, and we still didn't. I thought this Payback pay-per-view was going to be, really heavily focused on them, and it wasn't at all. I guess it was all about Roman. The Roman agenda, isn't that what they call it? I guess that's what it was about tonight. So, yeah, we'll see where they go. We got a whole nother 5 days until we get to SmackDown. Edge coming out for the 2008 match with... Oh, yeah, that's right. I remember that one. He won the title there, right? Hey, thanks, Chaz. I picked that up the other day. It's just the toy. It's not the real AEW belt. I'll get the real one day. But I was like, I need some AEW stuff in the background because I got a sweatshirt that's my girlfriend's that I just hang back there, and then I got the belt. But I need some more stuff. So I'm going to be changing the background here in the next month when I move. So I'm trying to to find some things for it. We did an unboxing last night to close out the podcast. It was a very fun Winged Eagle podcast yesterday. I appreciate you guys hanging out. Those of you who did, we had an excellent audience in there for that. We predicted the pay-per-view. Had a good time for 2.5 solid hours yesterday. It was awesome. All right. Yeah, Roman played by the rules, but still not really. He did he did it the shady way. He didn't go out there and take those guys on, man to man. He waited for his opportunity. And that's something that Paul Heyman can offer to his clients, the ability to maybe not be so impulsive or, just wait, just pick your time. You've got to be deliberate. You have to be, methodical, and you have to be, this has to be like premeditated, and you have to think things through before you strike type of thing. He's going to teach Roman, that type of strategy and just, bending and, the advantages in your favor as best you can and whenever you can. So I kind of like that. I like that Roman took the easy way out tonight. I really do. But we got to talk about that match in its entirety. We will once we get to it. Now that we've been just flapping our gums for a bit, let's dive into the results. We'll start with the pre-show because I want to shout out my best friend, R-Truth, who showed up on the pre-show thinking it was Raw Talk. He's like, hey, what's up, guys? Like, I guess I'll just squeeze in here. He's trying to move everybody out of the way. He's like, oh, hi, Booker, and hi, Rosenhall, or whatever his name is. And he's like, you guys, a lot of people here for Raw Talk tonight, so that was funny. I want him to marry my sister. Like, I want him to be my brother-in-law. So, like, he can show up to Christmas dinner with a jack-o'-lantern. You know what I mean? I love R-Truth. Sick and tired of he and I not being best friends. But we did get a match on the pre-show as well. Like I said earlier, Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan taking on the Iconics. And I'll take, who gives a shit for 500, Alex, because I do not care. But luckily, the Iconics, who have really had the number of Ruby and Liv as of late, they did not lose. Really brilliant spot in the match where Peyton Royce sold the shit out of a shoulder spot there. It was awkward, weird, but real good sell. And in the end, Ruby and Liv got the win. And then Ruby acted as if she won the WWE title in the main event of WrestleMania. She's emotional. She's crying. She's hugging Liv Morgan. She's so excited. I'm like, girl, you won a match on a pre-show. Jesus Christ. I'd rather be in catering than do that. So they're all happy. They even approached the pre-show panel after the match, and Ruby's very, maybe she's kind of spoofing Matt Jackson from Dynamite a little bit. I don't know, but she's very emotional, and they talk about the Riot Squad being back together, and they asked the ladies, "Are you back together?" And they said yes, and we got a little two-person Riot Squad here. So Ruby and Liv have reunited to form the Riot Squad. And, of course, Sarah Logan has got a bun in the oven, so she won't be back, and I guess they will just be a tag team, and that's honestly the best thing for them. Because in singles, they started to do something with Liv a little bit and did nothing. Ruby, upon coming back, was like 0 for 10 in matches when she returned. So they're both doing nothing. The women's division needs tag teams. There you go. The Riot Squad. Put the belts on them at some point. I'd be fine with that. So that wraps it up for the pre-show. We go to the main card now. The show opens up with Bobby Lashley taking on Apollo Cruz for the U.S. title. And I had said in my predictions, how does Lashley not win this match? Apollo's really, he's gotten the best of MVP and everything. And this was the match I thought they were going to book at SummerSlam. And now that Apollo has retained against MVP, Lashley's got to be the guy to take that belt off of him. So the only thing that I thought would stop Lashley from winning here, and I've talked about this a couple times, is if randomly, like, MVP was actually right about Retribution, because MVP came out and accused Apollo of being behind Retribution with the first time we saw the lights flickering and all of that, and he lost the match and he blamed it on Apollo. He's like, you got people helping you, and then he blamed it on him again. So I thought it would have been funny if, like, Retribution showed up here, allowed, got in the ring or whatever, allowing Apollo to somehow retain. And then MVP can be like, I told you guys it was him. But in the end, it was a pretty good match between these two. And Lashley wound up tapping him out with the full Nelson, which I think was the right call there. Lashley needs some gold. And I don't know what was going on, because at the end of the match, oh shit, was that my mic? Nope, we're good. I don't know what was going on at the end with the Hurt Business. I thought MVP and Shelton looked great in their suits. But as soon as Lashley won, they jump in the ring, they put the belts on him, and they got a photographer coming over there, and they got this little like photo snapshot graphic or something with the pictures of them. It was just really weird and awkward, and they didn't do it for any other matches. So I'm thinking this might be a gimmick of the Hurt Business, because that was really strange. I was glad to see it. wasn't around for the other matches. So that's probably going to be something Hurt Business is going to do. Whenever they do something great on TV, they're going to insist that the photographer comes over and snaps a bunch of pictures of them or whatever. So brand new United States champion Bobby Lashley. Another thing I was wrong about on the show, I didn't think every champion would drop their belts. I thought one champion would retain, and but I was pretty confident about Lashley. Roman versus Otis feud. I don't think so, man. Do we really want that? Carlene wants a shout out. There you go. Hope you're happy. Let me see. Supers, do I got them? Nope, one more from Antoine. Sorry, I'm watching Braun WWE Chronicle. I heard that was pretty good. You guys told me it was last night. How does Braun stay heel after this? Geez, they made him human. Yeah, I thought he was transforming into a monster. Not so much anymore. We'll get there. It's not going to take long at all to bust through these results. Next matchup, we had Big E taking on Sheamus. This one was pretty predictable, especially with them going in a singles push for Big E, them making a big deal about that, even talking and tying in his personality. The spot on the Talking Smack with The Miz, when he's like, I can be serious. I'm going to be who I'm going to be, and stop saying that the New Day is holding me back. I fully embrace all of this, and I'm going to show you that when it matters to me and when it means something to me, I can mean business, that sort of thing. So they still play off that. And really good match here between these two big guys. I know they've had some battles in the past over the years, but, whenever a match like this happens with just two enormous dudes, I'm like, how good can it really be? It was really good. And Big E did wind up defeating Sheamus with the big ending and continuing on his role there. So I would love for, I don't want to say this because people are probably going to disagree, but I wouldn't mind seeing Big E get a title shot against Roman, but falling short. It's not uncommon. A lot of guys, when they get their first title shots, they fall short. They don't get them right away. Trying to think of some good examples of that. Chris Benoit is a good example of that. I don't even think, I think The Rock even had a crack or two at the title before he won it. And, it's totally okay to have a good match and then fall short and then reach that height somewhere down the road. So Big E, they could build him up for some really good match against like Roman Reigns at the Royal Rumble for the title, but lose, and then maybe it's SummerSlam or down the road, then Big E gets his moment. That's still a whole year away. Whatever you're going to do with Big E, I feel like you should do it relatively soon. But I think he might be a good opponent for Roman Reigns, not necessarily to win, but just to be involved in a WWE title match at a pay-per-view would be a pretty big deal for Big E, win or lose. But of course, if you make that match, the fans are going to demand he wins, and if he doesn't win, he's buried. That'll be fun. But anyway, big win for him here. Happy to see Big E continue to roll. After this, we had Matt Riddle taking on Baron Corbin. Now, earlier on in the day, Baron Corbin tweeted something out like, all right, it's time to fight. You're a failure in WWE, and you're a failure at home. I even commented, I'm like, holy shit. I'm sure that he had full permission to tweet that. And so that match is up next. Now, before the match, Matt Riddle's interviewed by a new girl. They got a new backstage interviewer, the blonde one. I don't know her name either. I call her Misty Carmichael. So we got to come up with a name for this new one. I think it's Ashlyn something, but we don't want to call her by that. We want to have fun with it. So give me your nominations or your ideas for names for her. Something funny and silly. We'll call her from here on out. But there's a new person there. She interviews Matt Riddle, and she kind of informs him about the tweet. So they're making this into the storyline. Now, on one hand, I'm almost laughing that they're like bringing this in there. But at the same time, being a shitty husband is one thing, but, tying in the allegations and stuff, that's another. So I don't know if that's really what you even need to do with Matt Riddle, if you need to bring any of that stuff up, but it was just done to, raise the ire of Riddle, because as soon as she said that, Riddle was having a good time in the interview. He called himself the bodacious bro something or other. He just used the word bodacious. And I'm like, what the hell is he talking about? So he was having a good time. As soon as she brings up what Corbin said, his demeanor immediately changed. He goes out to the ring. He's pretty pissed off when he gets out there. Shout out to his Orlando Magic ring attire. I thought that looked really cool. If there would have been a crowd there, I think they would have appreciated that being in Orlando. So Riddle then has the match with Corbin, and I was hoping that he would just beat the shit out of him. And he doesn't quite do that, but he does wind up beating Corbin. He hits him. He pins him. Hits him with his, what's it called? I forgot what one of this finisher, not the tap out finisher, the other one. Hits him with that. Pins Baron Corbin. wins the match, and then seems really excited. And he said this in the pre-match interview as well. He said, God, my neighbor's dog is barking. Shut up. He said in the pre-match interview that he wants to be done with Baron Corbin. I want to be done with this King's Ransom nonsense. I can't wait to get in the ring with him and finish it. And then he gets in the ring with him, beats him, comes backstage, and he's interviewed by the girl again. And he's like, oh, man, I'm so happy to be done with King Corbin. And they're really making it obvious that he ain't done yet. And then he's attacked from behind by Corbin. And I'm sure that'll be setting up some bodacious blow-off match this coming Friday night. And if you notice, he pinned him. He didn't make him tap out. So I think in the next match, he'll make him tap out, right? Because if Corbin wins and they stretch this thing out again, I'm going to fucking kill myself. So I don't want to see that. I'm hoping that Riddle and Corbin have their one match because you need something for Friday. You got to have something for Friday. So put him in the ring, have Riddle, tap him out, and be done with it. Done with it. But I was at least happy to see that Baron Corbin didn't pull off some like shady victory over Matt Riddle. Because that would have made me mad. After that, oh my God. This dog needs to shut up. Oh, the Bro Derek. Thank you. How do I not know that? The Bro Derek. That's right. Bo Derek is the Bo Derek. She is a regular in my restaurant. So is her daughter. They're in all the time. I see Bo Derek quite often. Flip-flops of doom are awesome. I've always liked barefoot wrestlers. Oh, man. Von Erichs and Snuka. Steamboat wrestled barefoot a couple times. Generic Girl 5000. No, she's probably going to be really good. I mean, like, they go through an extensive interview process. You know, they're looking, I mean, I didn't know I guess with Renee leaving, everybody got bumped up. If you noticed, I think Charlie Caruso is going to be Renee Young. And think about, like, when she came in, she was the girl. She was Misty Carmichael. And then she got better. She had a more important role. Then she was kind of like right underneath Renee. And then Renee left, and boom, there you go. Charlie's on top now. She will be heading up most of these kickoff panels and things like that, and probably fill a lot of the void that Renee did. And it's a great opportunity for Charlie, which means it's a great opportunity for everybody underneath her to also move up. So they wouldn't have hired her if she wasn't any good. I just like that there's every now and then there's just a new one, and it's not just women. It's just men. Sometimes there's a new referee. I'm like, where'd this fucker come from? So anyway, I like having fun with it. So we'll see how she grows and how she gets better. And did you guys see, too, the WWE put up on their YouTube channel a nice little goodbye to Renee Young from last Sunday's SummerSlam. And they showed her audition tape. Man, did she look different. She looked like the new girl. She had like long brown hair, and she just looked vastly different. And just to see how she's grown in the last 8 years and evolved and changed and everything, it's pretty cool. So it was nice to see them send her off nicely before she probably turns up on the competition. But anyway, after that, now that the fucking dog is shut up, we had the tag team title match. Sasha and Bayley taking on Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. I turned out to love this match. Now, I predicted it wrong. I thought that Sasha and Bayley might find a way to escape. Now, a week ago, I was assuming they would drop the belts here. I was like, oh, they're going to drop the belts at Payback for sure, just to add to their demise, add to their tension. And then now, of all that gold, hold on, we got so much gold to take off. They only got one belt left. But when WWE put Nia and Shayna together, I started changing my tune in my predictions because I'm like, this isn't even a real team. I think the real team should beat the slap together team like every time. Like that's just the way it should go. And plus, you've got a team in Nia and Shayna that don't even like each other, and they're open about that. You've had Sasha and Bayley who have been together and knowing each other for years. How they can find a way to be their heels, right? Just be sneaky, try to create some tension between them, try to start some shit between those two, let them fight with each other, take advantage, get the win, retain your titles type of thing. That's what I thought they would do because I didn't think every champion would drop their belts tonight. I was like, somebody's got to retain. So yesterday, I predict Sasha and Bayley to figure out a way to retain the titles. They did not. And not only did they not retain the titles, they lost them in a way that I was not expecting. We all hate Nia Jax, right? Everybody hates Nia Jax. So luckily, we didn't have to deal with her too much. We just dealt with Shayna Baszler being the badass that she is. And I was having trouble in my head thinking of a way that Shayna and Nia winning the titles would please me. But it did because Shayna went in there and beat the crap out of both of them by herself. Basically, tapped them both out. She had one of them in the, I think maybe Sasha in the Kirifuda clutch. And then she had the leg thing on Bailey, and they're both a mess, and they're both screaming, and she's got them all tangled up like a pretzel. I screenshotted it, made it the banner pick on my Facebook page while the show was on the air, because I'm like, that's just a great visual of watching Shayna just choke the hell out of both of them, and they basically both tapped out. And Shayna Baszler won the tag team titles by herself. So that's awesome. I love that. They did a post-match interview. I can't remember who was in there with them. It might have been Charlie. And the funny thing about that is like Nia was going crazy. She's sticking her face in the camera. She's sticking her tongue out. She tried to blow the microphone at one point, acting completely obnoxious, which I liked. It was kind of funny that she's doing all the celebrating when she didn't do a lick of the work. And it really highlighted how obnoxious she is, but also how much of a badass Shayna Baszler is. And why WWE decided to keep her off TV for 3 or 4 months, I'll never know. Why is she not a star? Even with the loss to Becky, why didn't they keep her around and make her a big deal? I don't get it. So now she's back again, and now they're making her look like a badass again, and they mentioned on commentary that she was kind of the protege or the successor to Ronda Rousey. And if that's what you want to make her, then you need to book her like that. So for her to tap out 2 decorated former women's champions at the same time is a pretty good way, in my mind, to accomplish that, and I really liked what we saw. So Shayna kicking ass like that was great. I don't know or care how long she's going to hang on to the titles with Nia Jax, because they clearly still don't like each other. And that is some stuff, because Shayna also, got to give her credit for being funny. She's kind of funny. I like the way she talks on the mic. I like her disgust for Nia Jax. She's not scared of her. She tells her right to her face, I don't like you. I hate you. You're gross. You suck. Right to her face, fearlessly. And that's fun to me, so she'll probably continue to do that to Nia Jax on TV, and she'll just be like, I don't even need you. Just get away from me. Let me just defend these things by myself. So that will implode, and the two will scuffle, and will probably wind up costing them the title whenever they face somebody. I think if you can build like a team like Ruby and Liv up enough, I mean, they've done a whole lot of losing, so if Nia and Shayna hang on to the belts for a few weeks, get Ruby and Liv on a run maybe, and maybe they can take the belts off of them or something. I don't know. What I like about this is I think it does open up the door for a new team to win. Kabuki Warriors are gone. Sasha and Bailey are probably not going to be focused on those titles anymore. After a couple of weeks, I don't know, they might get a rematch or something, but after that, I think they might be done. There's also a chance they could regain them and kind of, lift their spirits a little bit if WWE decides to stretch out the eventual implosion. But, after the match, the two sat on the outside of the ring. What I do like about this is they couldn't really blame the other, right? Unless I missed a miscommunication, unless I missed some sort of a botch in the match that led to them both being locked in the submission moves, they can't point the finger, which might help them and help their relationship survive another week. If no one is really to blame here. So I suppose I could see Sasha and Bailey winning the titles back. I know I just said they'll probably be focused on other things, but maybe not. Maybe they'll actually get them back, and that will, and they can capitalize on Nia and Shayna not getting along. They've got their belts back. They're moving on to something else, and then Nia and Shayna can battle for the right to face Asuka or something. I don't know. You guys give me your ideas. What do you think they can do? I think Demolition should come back and beat them for the titles, but you can't have everything you want. I don't know, but Shayna is great. Yeah, I agree with you, Big J. Anybody but the Iconics. I'm sure individually they're very nice women. Peyton Royce is just stupidly beautiful, but I don't know if they're 2 more annoying people other than maybe 2011 Michael Cole walking this planet right now. How funny would it be if Billie Kay was the voice on your Siri? What if she was the one giving you directions? Turn left, or whatever. Oh my God. I'd go crazy. So they're like 2 walking most annoying sounds in the world from Dumb and Dumber. So I don't want them to win. They're freaking obnoxious. But they got their moments. Billie Kay can be kind of funny. Hey, Kayla! Whatever, but she's just, her voice, just blood just squirts out of my ears. I didn't do any highlighting to my notes here. Usually I have all this like big and bolded and underlined, but I wanted to get up here, so I just did it casual style here. After that, we had the Keith Lee Randy Orton match. That's right. Here's another surprising one. Keith Lee and Randy Orton is up next. Keith Lee was out there in some weird clothes again. Now, prior to the match, he was approached backstage by JBL randomly. What the hell was that about? JBL, first of all, his hair looked stupid. It was all weird and combed funny. And he's like offering Keith Lee these like, I don't know, these stocks and bonds or whatever, some sort of financial investment opportunity. He's like, it's only $1 million to get in. And Lee's like, I don't have those type of resources, dude, or whatever. And that was it. So I'm like, what's that about? What is that? What was he even talking about? Why was he even in there with Keith Lee? Why did JBL approach him? What was the significance of that? Why even do that if it means nothing? Like, I was so just confused by the whole thing. But while that was going on, you could see behind Keith Lee, hanging up in his locker, some like gold ring attire. And I'm like, he's going to be wearing something gold tonight. So I've got all my windows open, by the way, so I apologize for loud traffic. So he comes out to the ring and he's wearing this like bushy type of skirt. Now, Antoine, you tried to explain to me what this was, but I don't understand what your tweet even said. Couldn't even understand English, I don't think. But I don't know what Dragon Ball is. That's a movie or a video game or a TV show or something. It's some sort of a tribute to that. So if he's tributing something, then that's good, because I like it when wrestlers do that. We saw Matt Riddle come out with the Orlando Magic stuff. We saw Seth Rollins do the Halloween Havoc gear. You know, when wrestlers do that, I like it. Even if it's stuff I don't know about, I still think it's cool. So if Keith Lee had a reason for wearing that shit, then fine. But you know, it was it just kind of looked a little weird. Now, he also changed things a little bit. Of course, WWE is now making him wear one of those spandex shirts or whatever, which he wore on Raw when he debuted. But he also had like more baggy looking shorts, and it looked a little bit like a skirt, kind of like what Samoa Joe wears. And he wasn't wearing that here. He was kind of back to the spandex. So I suppose, baby steps. We've at least got rid of the shorts. If we can now get rid of the shirt and get some more decent theme music for this guy, maybe he'll be better received. But my biggest concern here was what they were going to do with the match. I couldn't see either guy losing. Now, technically, I predicted this right. I predicted Keith Lee to win, but I did so via disqualification. I thought that if Retribution was going to show their face or make their presence known at the show, it would be in this match. There really wasn't a place for them anywhere else. So I thought they would come out there and cost one guy the match or one guy the victory, or maybe even have, the match thrown out or a double disqualification or whatever. I thought Retribution might play a role here. They did not. We got a straight up match between the two. And not only did Keith Lee beat Randy Orton clean, he beat him quick. It wasn't even that long of a match. How long did it go? I'll have to check Wikipedia later. Had to be under 10, right? I mean, it was pretty fast. So to me, that was not only surprising, but it was a pleasant surprise, because I'm like, oh, good. Because even though I didn't really want to see either guy lose, if one guy had to lose, I think Orton was the better guy to lose. You don't want to do that to Keith Lee. Not that losing to Orton's a burial. I'm not one of those idiotic fans that are everywhere. But I still didn't think that's what you should do with him here. So I'm glad that he won and he beat Orton and he put him down. I don't know what this means now for Orton's future title matches, because he lost to Drew McIntyre. He's still got this thing going with him. They tried to update us on Drew's condition today, where he's got like a fractured jaw now, in addition to the brain bleeding, and I think his head did fall completely off and the doctors had to reattach it. So I don't know how long it's going to take for him to recover from this, but when he does, it's going to have to be one of those things where, Randy Orton, from a win-loss perspective, maybe doesn't deserve a title match, but kind of like how Dolph got one, Drew can just be like, look, I'm pissed at you and I need some revenge. I'll put my title on the line. I don't care. So they'll probably do it like that, and they're probably building some of that, I would think, maybe for the Hell in a Cell. I think, based on the fact that you're kicking a guy's head off and breaking his jaw and making his brain bleed, that might warrant a Hell in a Cell match. So we might get that between Orton and Drew. I don't know. And maybe if they want to, we got to keep our eye on this. I have no idea. You guys might. Got to keep our eye on that Edge injury and how he is progressing, because if you can hold off the blow-off between Orton and Drew as long as possible, you can save that for Edge's return and maybe have him come back and help Drew or attack Orton or something like that in that match. And maybe a Hell in the Cell would be a good place to do that, although I think Edge is going to be out slightly longer than that. But anyway, for the purposes of this match, I was happy with it, surprised by it, didn't see it coming that simply, that direct, just a match with a finish and a clean one, and that was it, and that's what we got. I thought there would be much more extracurricular activity going on. I thought we'd have a run-in. I thought we'd have some sketchiness, but we didn't. Just a nice, straight, easy one-on-one match between two great stars, and Lee won. Good for him. We'll see how he progresses going forward, if there is any more changes to his theme music or his look or whatever. He made it known on Twitter, like, just be cool, be patient, I'll handle it kind of thing. So I think we should let him do that, and we'll see. You know what's funny is I still have no idea what that theme sounds like. I don't pay attention. Like, when wrestlers come to the ring, I just zone out. So, like, I don't even know what his song sounds like. I'll have to look it up on YouTube later. I know we hate it. I just don't know. I have no clue whatsoever what it sounds like. Ungovernable. Good to see you. Dragon Ball is anime. Okay, I knew it was something like that. Because the wrestling fans were all intertwined, you know. I don't like any of that stuff. I don't like modern video games or anime or superhero movies or anything. But I knew it was something like that. Okay, good to know. See, if he's tributing something, I think that's cool. I'd do the same thing. If I was a wrestler, I'd be tributing 1990s Seinfeld episodes. You know, I'd come out there dressed as Newman or Kramer or some shit. That's what I would do. So I totally get it. Orton has fallen off the tree and had every branch on the way down. I don't know. Orton's doing the best work of his career right now. I love Randy Orton. I think it would be so cool. Like, you know, we saw Kenny Omega on the Thunderdome on Friday. I said if AEW had a Thunderdome, you know Randy Orton would be there every week. Randy Orton's the man. See, a guy like Randy Orton, once you get into that twilight of your career, you know, and you've got more championships in your legacy than you can even count, losses mean dick. You can lose 3 times in a row. It won't mean anything to his legacy. Won't affect it whatsoever. Won't change his status at all. Guys like that, that's what you want to aspire to be. You want to be such a big star that a loss means nothing. You can take a loss. You can take 3 in a row, and you're still as equally important to the wrestling business as you were prior to the 3 losses. And Randy Orton is a guy that's like that. So that's why I think if any guy had to lose here, it should be Orton, because he can recover. Where Keith Lee, as we've seen with so many other NXT talents that have been moved up, they're not so lucky. So I think a loss here would do a lot more damage to Lee than it would to Randy Orton, just based on WWE's system and how effed up it is. But anyway, after the Randy Orton-Keith Lee match, we had the tag team match, father and son team. Now, I'm going to go out and say this right damn now. Of all of the father and son teams throughout history that we've had, and we've had a few, believe it or not, they are by far the best ever. Better than Dusty and Dustin, better than Bruno and David, better than Greg and Vern, better than Eddie and Mike, better than Vince and Shane, better than Kurt and Larry Hennig, better than maybe not Chavo and Chavo Classic. They could give them a run for their money. But in terms of like father-son teams, there has never been anybody better. Because Ray is timeless. Ray doesn't age. Ray is still athletic, at this point, even despite having a son also old enough to wrestle. You know, that 1 or 2 matches we got there with Dusty Rhodes and Dustin, they were on such different levels. Dusty was the older guy, plus he was bigger. The way Ray moves around, the way Dominic moves around, how well Ray has taught him. They are, I'm saying it right now, somebody that remembers actual father-son teams. There has not been a father-son team better, at least from an athletic wrestling standpoint, than these two. Maybe you can argue that some of the legacies and the names are bigger, but not really. Because even when those guys were wrestling, what they were wrestling with their sons, they were very young, and a lot of them, like Dustin, hadn't won any titles yet. So they're the best by far. Father-son team. They did a great job in this match. It was a fun match. You knew they were going to defeat the Monday Night Messiah. There was no way Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy were going to beat these guys again. They are long overdue for some comeuppance here, and you knew that Ray and Dominic were going to win, and I predicted this match right, and I predicted the finish. I said the finish will be Dominic pinning Buddy. That's the way it had to be, and that's the way it went. Now, Ray got in there, mixed it up with Seth Rollins a lot, trying to get a little bit of revenge for what happened to him. Ray looked very good tonight. I liked his ring gear, liked his moves and the speed and everything. The match was really fun. We had, finally at the end, we had like a miscue between Buddy and Seth. Seth wants Buddy to kick, I think it's Ray or right in the face or something, and then Ray moves and he kicks Seth right in the face and he goes down, and Ray tags Dominic. This might have been the other way around. Father and sons kick ass in there. Dominic takes Ray, throws him underneath the ropes. I love that spot where he throws him underneath the ropes, and then he tries to like Canadian Destroyer Seth into the barricade. Didn't look very good, but he wipes out Seth, leaving Dominic in the ring all alone with Buddy, who was prone on the ropes in perfect 619 position. And then Dominic takes him right here to San Diego with a beautiful one. Buddy sells it like $1 million, triple flips backwards into the ring, and Dominic ascends the top rope and pays tribute to his real father, Eddie Guerrero, with a brilliant frog splash, hitting Buddy Murphy and pinning him for the win. Dominic and Ray share the nice moment together. It's got to be great for them, especially for Ray. You know, who you got to give Ray a lot of credit. Just based on what we've seen of Dominic, he has got him ready. You know, that kid is years beyond what he should be, you know, in terms of experience. He should not be this good for somebody that's, you know, had his level of training. But when your dad is Rey Mysterio and he's teaching you how to do, you know, flying head scissors off the side of the couch when you're 4, you know, you're probably going to grow up to be a pretty damn good wrestler, and Dominic has done that. And I'm interested to see what his future is on the roster now. This issue should be over because after the match, Seth looked pissed at Buddy Murphy. And now that we've seen, what's-his-face, Austin Hypothesis, show up on NXT, I don't know if they're going to necessarily be adding members to the Monday Night Messiah. They might be phasing it out, you know. And now if Seth tomorrow night on Raw gets pissed at Buddy, lets him have it, whips his ass or whatever, maybe they finally just fold this whole thing and try something else with Seth Rollins. Now, something I'm interested in watching tonight too, in addition to that Strowman Chronicle, right now on the WWE Network, they're doing a day of show or whatever. They're doing Day of SummerSlam 2015. That was the summer. It was 5 years ago. It was the summer of 2015 that I decided to take this channel seriously. I'm like, we got some subscribers now. People are listening. Let's start a website. Let's get the podcast out, you know, in audio form as well. And let's try to grow and have an actual schedule and start taking it more seriously. That was the year. And I remember talking about that SummerSlam that year with Jon Stewart, the title for title match. Loved that whole pay-per-view and loved that match. So they're doing a whole chronicle or a whole documentary on that show on the network right now. I think I'm going to check that out when I'm done hanging out with you guys. So I kind of hope that's it for the Messiah. I hope maybe tomorrow something is set into motion and Seth is mad. I hope it's not a deal where Buddy has to, like, you know, prove his loyalty to Seth and, you know, Seth is still going to be this leader. I kind of hope this just goes away, but they might run with it for a little while longer. I don't know. They might add members to it. You know, we've seen Aleister Black kind of recently go heel, right, from last week. So maybe he joins Seth Rollins, even though it was Seth and Buddy that did that to his eye to begin with. Maybe there's something there. I don't know. But it was up to me. Let's just bring the Burn It Down song back. I'm kind of over the Messiah. Y'all let me know what you think about that. Norman Smiley and Ralphus. Man, that's a great team right there. Oh, yeah, that's a good point, Ryan Rhoda. I didn't even think about that. Seth, well, he's not going to leave yet, though. If Becky is due in December, he ain't leaving until December. They're not going to, you know, you don't need to be home with your wife 3 months before she gives birth. She's fine. When she has a baby, that's when you want the time off. You don't want it before. You'd want to be there with the kid and stuff. So I think Seth is going to be around for a while. But then come the holidays, yeah, he's probably going to be off for a little bit, dealing with his new little Messiah. And what do you guys think? I think Alexa Bliss is pregnant with a little Fiend fetus. I hope she is. I really hope she is. The Fiend knocked her up. That would be hilarious. And we're going to talk about her because we saw her in the main event. And that brings us to the main event, right? That's it. Yeah, that was the semi-main there. So here we are. The Fiend versus Braun Strowman versus Roman Reigns for the Universal title. The Fiend comes out to the ring. He makes his entrance first. I guess Braun, I didn't see Braun make his entrance. Maybe he did. But I think he just came out there and levied a sneak attack onto the Fiend. So the Fiend gets in the ring. He's attacked. It's mind-blowing to try to envision the Fiend as this babyface, even though we know he's not like a true babyface. You know, he's getting attacked from behind. You know, he's getting screwed over and all this shit. So, you know, we've kind of seen the double turn here. So Braun attacks the Fiend before the bell rings in the dark. Lights go on. They start brawling everywhere. They're beating the shit out of each other. The Fiend even at one point puts Braun Strowman through a table, the announce table on the outside of the ring. They brawl around the ringside area, up the ramp, and then there's another table set up kind of like off to the side of the stage. They both crash through that, and that's when my wheels started getting turning. I'm like, oh man, they might do something crazy here. You know, if these two guys get laid out You can have Otis come out. You can have Roman, like Antoine suggested, come out with the briefcase, getting his hands on it from Otis. You could have, Otis win the title and then immediately drop it to Roman Reigns. Roman and Heyman are going to have to come out there at some point. My wheels were turning hard. I'm like, oh my God, my mind was racing. What's going to happen? What could they do? It can literally be 10 different things. Bray Wyatt also busted out the mallet. Haven't seen the mallet in a while, the big creepy-ass Beetlejuice mallet. So he brought that thing out, and he's using that. And they're just beating the hell out of each other. Now they recover. They find themselves back into the ring. And I wondered what Strowman was doing. He seemed like he was struggling like a motherfucker on top of that top rope. And I just thought it was because he's stupid. But turns out he was probably setting up for the big ring spot. So they did a superplex where Strowman and the Fiend hit the mat, and they do the ring implosion. Now, that never really gets old. It's always a pretty cool spot. How many times have we done the ring? 5? Something like 5. First one was way back in like 03 or whatever with Big Show and Brock. That was awesome. And they've copied it a couple of times. I want to say this is like the 5th time. They've done it more than once with the Big Show. I think maybe 3 times. Didn't Strowman and Big Show do it like in more recent memory? But they've also had the ring collapse a couple other times. I want to say this is like the 5th time in my life that I've seen this spot. But still, the ring implodes. And that's going to be now you have no ring. So there's only so much you can do. So once the ring imploded, I'm like, okay, this is it. Like whatever they're going to do is happening right here. I kind of thought Retribution would hit the ring because the ring's already broken for them. They don't even have to chainsaw it down or nothing. So it's already like half the work's already done for them if they want to tear shit up. So they didn't come out. And that's when Roman's music hits. Still the old music, the old Shield music. And he comes out there looking exactly like he did at SummerSlam. Just the Wreck-It Ralph and Leave shirt or whatever. And so he comes out there and spears the Fiend, I think, and goes for the pin. Or no, he just comes out. He doesn't spear anybody. They're both laid out. He comes into the ring and tries to pin the Fiend. He kicks out. And then I do think he spears him. And the Fiend still kicks out. And he has to fight a little bit. He seems like, holy shit. And also there's no referee. So he's like, hey, man, get a referee out here. So a referee comes down. So he's unsuccessful pinning the Fiend. Turns his attention to Braun Strowman. Roman nails him with a spear. Pins him. And just like that, he wins the Universal title without having to do any work. Without even having to wrestle in ring gear. He was out there in black jeans and that black shirt. And he won. I thought after that, we might see Retribution jump in and beat him up. And then Otis can come out. Like, I'm not even opposed to Otis holding the title for a second. I don't mind that. If Otis is like a 1-minute champion. So I thought he could have came out after the ring imploded. Or he could have came out after Retribution like attacked or something. But the show went on. He won the title. He celebrated with Paul Heyman. I was watching it all the way up until the end. Even until they like faded to black. I'm like, man, they can make you think that it's all over. And then Retribution comes out and attacks Roman and Heyman. And lays them both out and kills the show. And then maybe you can still have Otis come out there, do the worm and pin him and win the title. I thought they were going to really hold something like that off, but they didn't. It was just a matter of putting the belt that he never lost back on Roman Reigns, which is what he said. Which is what Cole said when Roman got the pin. He goes, and Roman wins back the belt he never lost. So it's kind of cool. Because that's twice now, right? How did Roman win the title back after leukemia? Or no, he wasn't going to win the title back. It was Goldberg was a champion. That's right. I'm like, what the hell happened? I was thinking Roman forfeited the title before WrestleMania. He didn't. Goldberg was champion. He was going to beat him for it. Now, prior to that was when he forfeited the title back when it was on Raw due to the leukemia bout. And yeah, won the title back that he never lost. Now Heyman is with him. I still think I'm still as equally as excited about this as I was last night and the night before. I still think this opens up all sorts of opportunities and opens up a lot of doors. And this is a Roman that I think most fans can handle and tolerate. Now, unfortunately, you're still going to have anger rearing its ugly head, I'm sure, because people are not going to be able to deprogram themselves from that Roman hate. So I'm sure you have some people, it's the worst thing in the world or whatever. Don't listen to them. They're mentally unbalanced. Try to be rational about it. This is great. This is great. I want to see Roman. I said this too, even when Roman had a lot of, criticisms from the fans. Even though I had his back and I didn't hate him to that degree, it's not like I didn't understand, the criticism. I totally do. And one of the things I said, I'm like, damn it, if only this guy could just be this ass-kicking, monster, crazy heel, that just went out there and just annihilated people, be a little bit more like Brock Lesnar. And, now that he's aligned himself with Paul Heyman, that we've been waiting for ever since the day after the Royal Rumble in 2015 when they shook hands, now it's here. Roman's older now, too. He's got that look. He's got that beard. He looks like such a badass with the beard. I love the beard on him. And we know he's in better shape now, and they still keep us guessing. It's not, and one thing about Roman, too, that they're already doing differently, they're not over exposing him. They're not shoving him down our throats. Like when he came back originally, he's going to be on big, long promo in the ring and 5 different segments on the show. We've only gotten him in little tastes, even on SmackDown. I talked about this on Friday night, and I talked about it last night, too. I said one of the things that was cool about him on SmackDown is none of that shit happened in the ring. They didn't have him come out there, cut a promo, talk about this contract, if you should sign the contract, and all of that. They kept it until the very last 20 seconds of the show. We saw him briefly in the backstage segment. He goes, I got to look over the contract. And a bell went off in my head when he said that. I'm like, that's kind of a heel thing to do. Babyfaces don't care about the contract. They don't want to read through it with a fine-tooth comb and, I want to make sure it's all good and good. They don't care. They just sign it because they're heroes, right? So the fact that Roman did that definitely was like, oh, okay. And then they revealed Heyman with him at the end. Instead of having a big, long, drawn-out segment in the ring that lasted 22 minutes, took up a quarter of your show, they kept it short and sweet. And then even here, Strowman and Fiend went out and did all the work. Roman came out at the very end. Still, we didn't get a whole lot of revelation of who he's going to be. He came out to the music, but he didn't have any new ring attire yet. Won the title and walked away. That was it. So it's 3 shows now in a row, SummerSlam, SmackDown, and Payback, that we've seen Roman. And if you add up his screen time total between all 3 shows, we're under 10 minutes. We're probably around the 7-minute mark. If you include his ass kicking at SummerSlam, the match here, and the 20 seconds on SmackDown last night. So they're definitely not doing what they do with Charlotte with him, So, Roman's on TV too much? Bullshit. No, he's not. At least not right now. That could change. But the first show that he has been back, the first 3, he has not accrued a lot of on-screen time. So that is another positive in my mind. Right? Less is more, says JC. I appreciate you, Mr. Green Person, for that very generous dollar amount there. If you could just move that over to a super chat, that would be great. You really saved my life. You did that. Yeah, we got All Out this Saturday as well. I miss you too, Nick. Oh, the Fiend did put the claw on Roman. All right, we'll see. Whenever it gets to the main event of a pay-per-view, I'm trying to watch it, but I'm also trying to get the stream ready. So I missed that or forgot it or tuned it out. Couldn't remember. And yeah, so we'll be up here next week too. It's a busy week, man. So like I said, this is 3 out of 4 days. We'll be up here tomorrow night, immediately following Raw. We'll do a review on that. And then next week, we're going to do predictions for All Out on Thursday. Thursday predictions for All Out, I think. Yeah, Thursday predictions for All Out. We won't bother with a Winged Eagle because All Out is on Saturday. And so immediately following All Out, I'll be up here for a review. And then 1 week from tonight, September 6th, next Sunday, we're going to do a live stream on Roddy Piper. Just a fun hangout, talk about some of the best Piper's pits, some of his more memorable promos, and it's going to be mostly promo focused and not match focused. We're definitely going to be talking about some matches, but we're going to be talking mostly about the work that Piper did primarily on the microphone. So you got another full week of Greg next week. So keep a lookout for that and make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. So that wraps it up for Payback in a nutshell there. What should we talk about now? Let's talk about ideas. Give me your thoughts on the show. Anything you want. Oh, I didn't see your super. Oh, I'm getting to that one, Chris. Aside from new music, which Madeline is talking about, and some others, what else do we want to see out of him? JC says that Roman's music actually sounds perfect now. I do agree. Like the theme is fine because the Shield debuted as a heel faction, right? So the theme is heelish. It's fine, but I think it's been so many years of it. The fans are like over it, but we probably won't get a new theme. I think you're probably right. I think if they were going to do a new theme, they would have had one ready. Suppose they still could, but I think they might stick with it, which is fine. I can compromise there. I like it too when guys like keep the same theme their whole careers. John Cena. How many times should they have changed his theme? 1,000,000 times, and they didn't. They never did. Let me get back there. I can't read. There we go. Let me cruise up here. I got another super chat rolling in, so I want to knock out Chris because I think he was next, unless there was somebody above him I missed. Nope, Chris, you're next. You ask, I feel, and thank you for the $5, dude. I feel the booking of Reigns was smart because he can justify how he entered the match, saying he never lost the belt, so it was fair. Is good heel heat. Yeah, exactly. So he can say, yeah, I never lost this belt. I shouldn't have to win it back type of thing. That's what heels do. And that's what Roman would not have done in the past. Roman of yesterday would have come out and said, I want to fight my way back to the top. I want to take on all challengers and prove that I'm the best. Now he's like, no, fuck that. I got nothing to prove. I'm already the man. I don't owe you assholes anything. And I'm just getting my belt back because I shouldn't have dropped it to begin with. It's mine. It was never not mine. All you assholes just held it. You're just placeholders for me. So I'll take that now. I like that attitude. I like it a lot better than the Roman that we all hated. You know what I mean? Deshaun, good to see you. Appreciate the $5. 4 years ago today. Oh, what a great moment. 4 years ago today, Kevin Owens won the Universal title in that infamous Fatal 4-Way with Rollins, Cass, Roman on Raw. And Triple H turned on Rollins. I forgot who was. I knew Rollins and Roman were in that. I didn't know Cass was in it. Really? I remember that. That was right after Finn Balor had to forfeit the title after winning it from Seth Rollins at SummerSlam. I think it was WWE. Somebody had just put up a clip of that on Twitter, I think yesterday. And I watched the whole thing from Triple H jumping the barricade. I think he hit Roman with the pedigree on the floor. And then he got in the ring. You're assuming he's there to help Seth Rollins, right? Because he's had the affiliation with him. And then he turns on Rollins, pedigrees him, and Owens. That was the best acting I've ever seen. You really, truly, and we talked about this 4 years ago when it happened. We talked about it on the show here. We said, man, we thought maybe he didn't know. I'm like, did they surprise him with that? Did they rib him and say, hey, we're giving the title, we didn't tell you? The look on his face was utter shock. He's like, holy shit. I'm the champion. Even when he won, even when he pinned Seth Rollins, he pinned him and he's staring up at Triple H and they give him the belt. He's almost looking at it like he can't believe it. He's like, are you fucking kidding me? Kind of thing. And that's why it felt so genuine, because the character Kevin Owens should absolutely believe he's good enough to win the title. He should not be surprised. He'd be like, oh yeah, I'm awesome. I should win this. But the person, Kevin Steen, who's been, fighting his whole life to be a pro wrestler and to succeed, and then they don't tell him that they're going to give him the title and they give it to him as a surprise, and he's literally pissing himself in shock. I love that. One of the best moments of the modern era in the last 10 years, because I think the modern era kind of sucks now, and it's really hard to create these moments that you'll never forget. And that's one of them, especially in the last 5 years. You guys can help me pick out, just in the last 5 alone, stuff that's going to be tattooed on your brain forever. I can think of very few. I can think of none. That Owens one would probably be one, though. I know there's more, but it's not like back in the day. If you asked me to do that from between 1992 and 1997, holy shit, I could sit here for 4.5 hours and talk about the memories I'll never forget. But if you ask me 2015 through 2020, Kevin Owens and maybe one other thing. So it's nothing. It doesn't resonate like that, with fans anymore, or at least with me. But you guys let me know. What do you think? Let me turn that down. There we go. There we go. All good. Who are we congratulating? Oh, Zane, you were at Payback. Oh, yeah. Be safe, man. Safe drive home. Hopefully the traffic is not bad getting out of there, and hopefully people weren't being too obnoxious. I hope there's not any fights in the parking lot. Good luck. Good luck. Sting, yeah. Rollins cashing in. What year was that, though? Oh, yeah, I guess that was 15. Okay, I guess that counts. Well, technically, it's been more than 5 years now, right? About 5.5. So, yeah, technically 5 years ago would be SummerSlam of 2015. So, Rollins doesn't apply. He was too far. So, but we'll let him in. We'll let him in. Close enough. Rollins cashing in, yes, I definitely will never forget that moment. AJ Styles debut at the Rumble, yeah. But again, I just forgot about it. It's not like those years I talked about, like 92 from 97 through 97, I wouldn't even have to think. Some of these have to be reminded to me. But then once you say them, you're like, yeah. I also want to put Edge on the list from this year. That's one that's probably above anything else I'll remember more, even more than the Kevin Owens, because of, me watching Edge, You know, I've met Edge. I've watched him wrestle through the Attitude Era. I watched him wrestle in dark matches before he appeared on TV. That's how long I've seen Edge wrestle in the ring, and a lot of that live. And he's a big part of my, you know, memories and stuff. So for him to like walk out in the Royal Rumble and 80,000, 70,000 people, whatever was there, and that look of just disbelief on his face, that's an image. That's a Rushmore image in my mind, you know, at least of this era, at least of the modern times, you know. 2005 through 2020, you know, to me feel like it's all one big chunk. And Sting at Survivor Series, maybe for some, but not really for me. I mean, it was cool, I guess, but man, I felt like it was so late, you know, because he was in TNA doing this thing for a long time. And I thought if they could have grabbed him 7 years earlier, it would have been so much better. 10 years earlier, 20 years earlier would have been the best. But when he got there, it was cool to finally see him there. Kind of like Goldberg coming back, too. It was like, okay, we're back, but, you know, shit, man, you guys missed a lot of time. You could have had some great matches if you were here before. And I always laughed so hard at Sting. You know, I remember that one time. Yeah, Sting was 2014, so he doesn't qualify either. That one time Sting, like, tried to explain himself and explain why he never decided to go to WWE. And he's like, you know, I just don't think Vince McMahon would handle the Sting character right. There's a lot that Vince McMahon does wrong, but he ain't stupid. And he absolutely would. If anything, WCW didn't handle you right. Look at what they did to you. You know, the Crow shit was great. But you sat out of the ring and didn't say a single word for 18 months and then became the Crow. And then in less than a year, you were in the NWO. To me, that's silly. And that's something that Vince might not have ever done. But, you know, to take Sting and treat him like the legend that he really is, I thought that if he would have been in WWE during his prime, he would have been even bigger than he was in WCW, just because he would have that WWE marketing machine behind him. So coming in 2014, by then, it's like, whatever. But I think if he would have gone prior, he could have a lot of success in WWE. A lot of success. Thanks for another one, Deshaun. $2, that's a good one. The Hardy Boys returning at Mania 33. I'll put that one on there. That was awesome. That was great, man. We knew it, man. I remember watching that night and New Day coming out because they were like the hosts. So it was a great little swerve because I knew it, though. I knew it wasn't going to be them. When they came out there and said, now there's one more team added, you know, you're like, oh, they're entering themselves into the match. And then they announced the Hardy Boys and the pop and even the looks on the New Day's faces. Like when the Hardy Boys came out there, like, holy shit. You know, that was a great moment. Yeah, I agree with that one, too. So, see, you know, there are some, but there aren't many. You know, there aren't as many, it doesn't feel like, as there used to be. How Wheezy, good to see you. Thanks for being here, and thanks for being a monkey wrench. And thanks for the 5. Hard to dislike Lashley as the new U.S. champ. The Hurt Business is one of the better things going in WWE right now. Excited to see where they go. I totally agree. I like the Hurt Business. I feel like, if anything, they've had some setbacks. Like, I kind of thought they were going to be kind of a dominant group. Shelton Benjamin continuously coughs up that 24/7 title. MVP can't beat Apollo Cruz. You know, finally, Lashley is going to be, you know, their strongest member here. He's got gold around his waist, and hopefully they'll run with it for a while. And they made their presence known in Raw Underground again last week, which I'm hoping they continue to do. And I think that will be a really fun way to incorporate something else one day down the road, especially if you have Lashley in there beating people's asses. To see Brock or something show up in that, I think will be really awesome. But yeah, I'm a big fan of the Hurt Business. I think they're one of the brighter spots. But I also think they're a lot better than Retribution and some of the other angles that they're doing. But there are a couple of things about them that I think could even be better. But I'm liking that they're out there now, like they're, you know, they're like a badass MMA version of like the Four Horsemen. You know, they're out there in suits. You know, they're still very classy, but they're a little meaner, a little tougher, and a little scarier looking kind of thing with those guys. I'd like to see Lashley coming out there and wearing suits too. I hope he does. I hope he shows up tomorrow night on Raw wearing a suit and the belt over his shoulder. He'll look great. He's a good looking guy. There aren't many of us. Who's next? Antoine, welcome back. Thanks again. Thanks for 5 more. I've been hopping around to different live reviews. I would probably be doing the same thing if I was here on YouTube. I'd be like, oh, let's see what he's saying. Let's see what he's saying. People are really trying to crap on the show. Some people just want to crap on this company just because. Oh yeah, I'm sure. That's what you do on YouTube. You know, rational thoughts don't get likes and views. Anger usually does. So I'm sure that people are going to pick apart this. Like, and I said earlier, it wasn't the greatest show. I mean, I'm giving it like a C+. All the matches here, this was all building to the main event. I thought there were a couple of good spots here, but this pay-per-view didn't exactly blow my mind. It didn't exactly knock my socks off. It felt more like a Raw or SmackDown Super Show, like that type of thing, to where it was just, some good, decent, solid matches. It shouldn't have been treated as a full-blown pay-per-view because it kind of wasn't. They put all this together in 6 days, which is just crazy, or 7 days, or whatever. So they had 1 week or less to book for this thing, and they had 2 shows to do it with Raw and SmackDown to come up with a 7-match card. And despite all those things, and the big swerve on Friday, with Roman now aligning himself with Paul Heyman, I didn't know what else we could have gotten out of this show. I did expect to see Retribution and a few other things, but all in all, I think I'm more pleased with it than disappointed. But yeah, you got the people are always going to tear it down. Whatever. Potato Chip, can I ask you something? Yes, I am a model. Remember that big button that Rick Martel used to wear? I still use that joke to this day. Like if somebody at work says, "Can I ask you something?" I say, "Yes, I am a model." And they don't get it because they don't watch wrestling. But I get it. And that's all that matters. Yeah, it was a B pay-per-view, so it should get like that time. The rating should reflect that. It was most definitely this was a C pay-per-view. This wasn't even a B pay-per-view. A B pay-per-view is like what we're going to get next month, or Hell in the Cell, or something like that. This is a C pay-per-view. This is one that was 1 week after after another one. Crazy. Yeah, and we got a big NXT coming up on Tuesday night, which sucks because I have to work unless we decide to continue to stay closed. Tuesday is the night that my restaurant opens back up because we had 3 positive COVID tests. So we've been closed for a while. The plan now is Tuesday. And not only do I have to work Tuesday, I've got to lock up, which means I'm going to be there forever. So I'm going to have the phone. I'm going to have the match on, and I'll have my phone with me, and I'll be watching the new champion be crowned. But man, I really wish I could be home for that. I'm gonna have like 12 or 13 straight days off, and then the day I have to go back to work is the day that we crown a new NXT champion. So that sucks. So if you don't follow me on Twitter, go to Twitter right now and follow me at GoodMikeWork, and make sure you keep me updated on Tuesday with what the hell's going on. And we talked about that match too a little bit yesterday in the podcast, that with 4 guys in there, like how do you not avoid some sort of a tie? Maybe not with all of them, but with like 2 of them. What if 2 of them have 2 falls each, and then the other 2 have none, and then the hour is up, you're going to have to go to a sudden death. And if like Regal was the smart commissioner, I love it. Like every time they come up with these Iron Man matches or these matches like this, they don't consider that there might be a tie. Every other sport does. The NBA and NHL and baseball and football, they all have plans in place. If there is a tie, what do you do? Baseball has extra innings. Hockey has extra periods. Football used to have sudden death overtime. Now it's like semi-sudden death. And basketball has overtimes. You play till it's over. And, football you actually can tie, I believe. But how are they not expecting that to happen? I think it's a really likely possibility that bell will ring with nobody leading in falls. Right? So what do you do when that happens? Yeah, good point. Good point, Ryan. 3rd show in a row that Roman was on, and 3rd show in a row that Retribution was not. Was Retribution on Raw? I think they were. Right? Yeah, they definitely were. They were out there, because I think that's when we recognized Mia Yim. That's interesting. Could be. Could be. Stone Cold, you want to put Shane's return on the list from earlier? I could see that. That was quite the pop. Quite the pop. What's up, AJ? Good to see you. Appreciate the $5. In terms of crowd reaction, which is better? Edge's return at the Rumble, Triple H's Madison Square Garden return, or the Hardy Boys? Those are 3 fabulous returns. Nothing beats Edge's to me. Triple H, I always reference that because no wrestler has ever gotten a louder reception in Madison Square Garden than Triple H. He rivaled Bruno, man, and Hulk. That was crazy. That just because it was just one night, though. He never got that ovation again. That was a one-time deal. But man, the fans at that time really missed him. I remember going through that whole invasion angle, being like, "Damn, I wish Triple H was here." You know, he was a heel that was starting to get the respect of the fans just by how hard he was working. He was redlining. He was just balls to the wall. It was only a matter of time before he got injured. And when he was gone, I think that's when fans appreciated him and said, "Oh, man, we want this guy back," and they blew the roof off. Now, it would take less than a year for them to turn on him, but for that night alone, that was a pretty big moment. And we just talked about the Hardys a minute ago, but still, nothing's better than Edge's. That is just a fantastic moment in wrestling, and kind of sad that it's one of the best ones that we've ever gotten, and it might be the last one we get for a while, because that was like the last show. Or they did do Elimination Chamber, right? But then after that, wrestling was done. Yeah, Brett and Shawn, WrestleMania 12. It's hiding behind me, behind the, I can't do my fingers, my Owen Hart and Brett DVD there. I've got the plaque from WrestleMania 12 signed by Shawn Michaels and a piece of the ring and all that stuff. We've had some good ones. The Brock and Angle one that I'm going to be reviewing soon was also very good. And the four-way match is just, to me, it just opens up so many weird doors, because I'm like, what can you do? And I'm wondering if WWE is going to use Tuesday to set up another match. Like if we might actually come out of Tuesday without a champion crowned. I want Regal to be a better commissioner than that. I don't want that to be the case. Regal should make an announcement. He should say something on TV or on social media. Oh, by the way, in the event of a tie, this is what they do. We should all tweet Regal tonight. Force WWE to come up with something here. Even though they probably already have an idea what they want to do. Say, hey, WWE, what about a tie? What about a tie? Let us know now. Don't make some shit up, as it happens. And they're like, oh, well, we'll find out next week what happened. No. We figure it out tonight. Let us know. Let us know. Ziggler winning the title after Mania was definitely a moment, but that was in 2013, right? We're talking like the last 5 years. Oh, Jamie, don't even think it. Don't even joke like that. It would be hilarious if Hell in the Cell ended in a DQ again, like a running gag. I think WWE ruined, not only did they ruin the Fiend with him being beaten by Goldberg, they ruined the Hell in the Cell. They ruined the Hell in the Cell. Because wasn't the one before that also some sort of wonky-ass finish? In a match that's designed to make sure that you do get a clear-cut winner. You do two of them in a row where you don't get a winner. Absolutely stupid. As soon as they started painting that thing red and it got more obnoxious and more, huge in size, I stopped caring. And I don't think they're going to have to do a lot to bring me back to somebody that even gives less than a shit about the Hell in the Cell. They're going to have to work real hard to accomplish that, because there's no excuse for what they did to last year, and they ruined their entire match concept, that they build a pay-per-view around. And I never thought Hell in the Cell needed to be a pay-per-view anyway. And with the COVID, that was like a silver lining. I said months ago, I'm like, the good news is we're not going to have to worry about Hell in the Cell, because that thing ain't going to fit in the Performance Center. And then they make the Thunderdome and change everything up for us. So we're going to get it. It's never going away. It's here to stay. And it's probably always going to suck. Daniel Rodriguez, appreciate the $2. Roman pinned Braun, not the Fiend. Yeah, I think I said that. I was a little confused about what was going on when he got out there. I didn't know about the claw and all that, but I did know he pinned Strowman. It's hard, man, when you're a YouTuber. I don't want to keep you guys waiting, so in order to be ready, I have to start, I start plugging shit in, and, once the main event starts, that's when I start, kind of getting it ready so I can kind of go live as soon as it's done. So my focus was not 100% on the match. It was only like 50% on the match, so I missed a couple things. Very sorry. It's just Cell now? It's not Hell in the Cell without Taker? Sure it is. I don't want to watch WWE Cell this Sunday on the it might be a cell phone, who knows. WWE Phone 2020. Hell in the Cell hasn't been the same since 2008. I don't even remember who was in it in 2008. To me, it hasn't been the same since 1997, if you ask me, or 98 when Mick Foley went base jumping. Thoughts on bringing Sonya back as the hacker? I could see that. Maybe. I don't know, though. That means she would have had to be the hacker the whole time, and that wouldn't make sense. But I think you can just bring her back. I had an idea for her. We talked about it yesterday, I think. I had an idea for her coming back just recently. And I still think, because that's where, right, it was about the briefcase. And now since we didn't see Otis tonight at Payback doing anything, you could still do that. It would be a good way to get Sonya in. We all talked about, there's a lot of speculation during SummerSlam weekend about maybe passing the briefcase to a female. You can still do that. Just because it didn't happen on SummerSlam doesn't mean it can't happen. If anything, now you have more of a reason for it to happen because Sonya is without a job. So she can approach Otis or something and take the briefcase or buy the briefcase from him or threaten Mandy unless he gives her the briefcase and she comes back with it. And that's how she returns back to the company. I think I even went as far as to turn Otis on Mandy. That would be a swerve, right? Because every one of us are expecting at some point Otis to be staring down the barrel of some serious heartbreak from Mandy Rose, right? What if they flip it? Flip the script. And now it's Otis that's got her wrapped around his finger instead of the other way around. And then he uses her for some reason. I don't know why. And then says, "Here you go. You're my new peach. You're my plum. You're my prune or something." Because Sonya's a little darker. So if Mandy's a peach, Sonya can be let's not call her a prune. She's a plum. Sonya's a plum. "Here you go, my plum." And he gives her the briefcase, and then she goes out. And maybe you can even do something with Mandy. No, you can't. Sasha and Bayley have got to win. Have got to fight for the title. So it would be better if it was like Mandy. If Mandy could somehow get her hands and win the title somehow, and then Otis gives it to Sonya. Sonya beats her, and then Sonya and Otis make out in front of her or something. I'm fine with it. Why not? Like, why not? It's wrestling. Why not? Give me one good reason why not. Yeah, Sonya's got a part in a movie. Well, the court dates aren't going to affect anything. The court dates are going to be right there. You know, she doesn't have to go anywhere for those. That's not going to affect... court dates should not affect her ability to perform in the ring. Movie roles, however, will do that. So I still don't think even with a movie, she's not going to be gone forever. Are they even filming movies right now? How are they doing that? I saw that the VMAs are on. I'm like, how the hell are they doing the VMAs? I didn't even know they were still a thing, but are they doing, where's your Thunderdome VMA? You guys got one? You better. Otis will turn on her, then start a Rick Rude gimmick. He can give ladies in the crowd a Otis Awakening. I don't think that would fly today. I don't think the Rude Awakening would work. You just bring a woman in the ring and then just make out with her right there. I mean, they have to be willing. You know, they all were. All of Rick Rude's ladies were willing to do it. But just, I don't know, objectifying them or sexualizing women like that. I don't know if that's going to fly today, but that was a funny segment back in the day. A couple of guys got the best of it, though. Like, I remember Piper. Piper interrupted a Rude Awakening and got rid of Rude and then kissed the girl, and he gave her a Rod Awakening. Which, I don't know, if you're a woman, you might prefer a Rod Awakening to a Rude one. Am I right? And then I think Tito, not you, Tito, my cat. Tito Santana did the same thing. I remember it was like a primetime wrestling match with like him and Rude, and I think he kissed Rude's girl. It's good to see some personality out of Tito. I remember that, Victor. The Hell in the Cell from Raw that ended in a countout. Yeah, 98. What time of year? Was that right before King of the Ring? Was that around King of the Ring time? Or was that after? I forgot. Oh, that might have been after. That was during the Highway to Hell build, I think. I don't remember. But yeah, I remember that. I still think it's the only Hell in the Cell to ever take place on Raw, right? Vincente, I don't remember Ray's return very much in 2018. So yeah, that's not one that's like etched in my memory, but I'm sure it's still a big moment and stuff, but doesn't stand out. Oh yeah, that's a good one, Madeline. I'll never forget that shot of Cena during his match with Rollins when Rollins relocated Cena's nose to the side of his face, and to see him up there and just going through the match with that crooked ass nose, my God, makes my eyes water just thinking about it. Cena is a stud, man. He doesn't get enough credit. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was during the Highway to Hell build. That's right. I remember. They were on top of the cell, right? Austin was up there and all that shit. Cats are doing well, Mike. Thanks for asking. My oldest bub did have a little bit of a health scare in the beginning of the year. He got cryptococcus, which is a fungal infection that's usually found in bird shit. And I think I cleaned her litter box on my porch, and I remember one time a bird shit in the litter box, and I cleaned it up, but maybe not good enough, and he got a fungal infection, and it's gnarly. It can kill you. He had to be on medicine for 7 months, and I give him twice a day, every 12 hours, squirt it in his mouth, and it kills the infection. But about a month ago, he started acting real weird. He didn't want to eat. He seemed tired, lethargic, just didn't seem like he felt very good, so I was panicking. Called the vet. They tested all of his blood and tested for, like, because this medicine does liver damage, like, over time, and tested his kidneys and all these other things that it can be, and he came back with flying colors, and he also came back completely free of the fungal infection. So the vet was like, you can take him off the medicine now. And within 3 days, 3 or 4 days, he's slowly back to normal. So I think the medicine was just messing with him. He's probably gained a pound back now in some of the weight that he lost. He's energetic. He plays. He runs around. He's annoying as shit. He constantly wants to eat. He's just like he was. So it's a good feeling when your pet can bounce back. You know, so I mean, he's 11. He ain't gonna be here forever. But I'm really happy that he bounced back from that. He's like he was when he was 6. Bothers me every morning. If I'm not up at a certain time, he literally walks over to my face and screams in my face, "Feed me." It's so fun. But I'm glad he's back. I'd rather have him like this than sick. And Tito is still pretty young, even though he's a little fat ass. I'm trying to get him to lose some weight. But he's only like 8, or no, he's 7. I think he's 7 now. So he's fine. He's a total spaz. 2 different personalities. Bub is laid back and chilled out. You can pick him up, cradle him in your arms. He'll completely submit and let you do whatever. He loves people. If I have a maintenance man come over here or somebody has to enter my apartment, he wants to help. He goes right up to him and tries to help him fix the dishwasher. He's not scared of anyone. Where my other cat, if he even smells a stranger, you don't see him for 5 hours. So he's under the bed or I found him in the shower one time hiding. He'll go anywhere he can to hide to get away from people. So it's kind of funny. They'd make an excellent tag team because contrasting styles are always best in tag team wrestling. So I think Bub and Tito, you know, if I put them in WWE, they'd win some championships, man. No joke. Oh, I knew there was 2 in the summer, so I forgot. Maybe the one in June was the one where Austin was walking on the top. I kind of forgot. Oh, Zane, I don't know if they're going to do that. I do think that they will do. I think they need to. I mean, they've kind of tried, you know, do some sort of a gay storyline, you know, with a couple of women or a couple of men, and they did the thing where Liv came out and said that her and Lana were together, but they never followed up on it. And then even everything going on with Mandy and Sonya, it made you wonder if they might go in that direction. But then, you know, it turned out, you know, it was much more vicious than that, and, you know, with the hair cutting and everything. But now, I don't know. Oh, we didn't talk about her. Thank you for reminding me of that Jason Stiller. So in the main event of Payback tonight, one thing that we noticed backstage, and we talked about her last night too, is that they cut back to Alexa Bliss watching on the monitor. So she's watching the match. She's kind of twirling her hair. Now on SmackDown on Friday, she was talking to Nikki and I think Tamina, and she had said that, you know, she wanted to change her hair. And Nikki was like, balked at that a little bit. I don't know. That kind of reminds me of the Fiend. And Alexa's facial expression immediately changed the minute the word Fiend was said. She took the mug that Nikki was holding and smashed it on the ground and walked away and stormed off, essentially smashing their friendship. And you can tell that something is still there. And I mentioned that when she was first like abducted or whatever the hell happened with her and the Fiend. I'm like, I hope that it's something like that affects her and you start seeing the slow, subtle change in her, or little just funny behavioral things that she's doing. And the way she lashed out at Nikki Cross, you know, is kind of like that. And the way her facial expression changed when she heard about the Fiend, the fact that she was watching on the monitor tonight. I said earlier, I think she should be pregnant with a little Fiend fetus. He should be born with a little thing on his face. I think it'd be cute as shit. And have little dreadlocks. He can walk around. She can hold his hand. I think that would be great. But I think the more likely option here is maybe having her become like a Sister Abigail type of character. And she was the one, wasn't she in the Funhouse match at WrestleMania, right? Didn't she pop up in that? So, like, I think that her being affected by the Fiend, being either under his control or maybe not even under his control, but, you know, wanting to help him and develop a relationship with him could be really interesting. I kind of hope they do it. Yeah, a lot of people say she is Sister Abigail. Maybe she is. How Wheezy, appreciate the $2. Is that what you think is happening here? I think that's the only thing that makes sense to me. JBL being Keith Lee's manager. Otherwise, what the hell was the point? Why did he approach him with that weird-ass, hey, get the stock tip and give me $1 million and I'll get you in on it kind of thing? So maybe he is Lee's manager. That would be a strange alliance, man. Keith Lee and JBL. Keith Lee would have to be a heel. I mean, think about who Keith Lee is. Like, they even say it on commentary. Keith Lee, he's the soft-spoken type of guy. You know, JBL's like, oh, loud, Texan, rah, rah. You know, his energy is just really aggressive. And, you know, and Keith Lee is more like a mellow, you know, not like a Matt Riddle type or anything like that, but he's just like a more mellow-speaking guy. And JBL is loud. He's obnoxious. He never shuts the fuck up. And he's horrible. So if he winds up managing Keith Lee's going to have to go heel. I suppose weirder alliances have been formed. We were just talking about one with Alexa Bliss and The Fiend. So if Alexa and The Fiend can be together, JBL and Keith Lee can be too. But I don't like JBL. I never have. I hate him. Well, maybe I don't hate him. I just strongly dislike his dumb face. So I don't want him anywhere near a guy that I like Keith Lee. Unfortunately, I can't tell JBL that. He blocked me on Twitter for nothing. Probably just because he has a stupid face. It's probably why. Crazy Swerve, Big E, part of Retribution. I like it. I'm open to anything. I'm open to anything. You know, I'm open to anything that would be different, fun, unpredictable, anything like that. To me, everything is on the table. So whatever you want to do with Retribution, do it. Make Big E in it or whatever. Just make it good. You know, but I have this suspicion that since we didn't see them tonight either, the WWE doesn't know. And how many freaking times do we have to see this company do that to where they start this angle where somebody's going to be a leader or whatever, or somebody ran over Austin, or who's in a faction, or who's under the hood, or who's in the limo. Every time they do this, they don't know who it's going to be when they start the angle. And then when it comes time to reveal it, they basically just have to take whatever they can get or come up with that day. And I think that's where the higher power came from. There is no way Vince was the initial and the original plan for the higher power. They made the higher power and figured they'd deal with it later. Just like Austin. There's no way at Survivor Series 1999 when that car hit him that they were saying it's going to be Rikishi. No. They said, we'll cross that bridge in a year when we get to it. But then when that bridge approached, they didn't know what the fuck to do. So then they're like, okay, then we'll make The Rock kind of suspicious, and we'll get Mick Foley in on this, and you know, and then we'll make it Rikishi. And then after the fact, they're like, well, shit, it would have made more sense if it was Triple H. Okay, let's just make it to where Triple H was the mastermind then. You know, they fly by the seat of their pants, and this is not the time to be doing that. The same goes with the Shield, right? You know, well, actually, I think they did have a plan. I think CM Punk was supposed to be in charge of them, but you know, these ideas kind of fizzle away. They can't come up with a plan or a strategy or a direction to go in, and it winds up sucking. The Shield, of course, is awesome. All three of them now have topped the PWI 500 in the last 5 years, which is pretty awesome. But you know, when it comes to these reveals, WWE more often than not fucks them up. So what I'm really worried about is they started Retribution without knowing who they want the leader to be, and whenever you do that, you are guaranteed for it not to work. Because you don't have an idea. You're just going to make it up. So the only way it can work now is if WWE gets extremely lucky. And most of their crazy big success and the biggest stars that we've seen, they have fallen ass backwards into. They fell ass backwards into Austin. They fell ass backwards into The Rock. They had no idea what to do with either of these guys when they came in. And they got themselves over. You know, and look what happened. But now, you're not allowed to get over without permission. That's what kind of business we're in now. That's why when people say the system is broken, it is. Because they don't allow anything to really grow, and they just rely all on themselves to come up with these ideas. And when they've always proven, all the way dating back to the 90s and 80s, that they a lot of times, don't know how to do that. And the biggest stars we saw in the Attitude Era weren't over at first. Look at Kane, New Diesel, Isaac Yankem, 100 other dumb damn things that they did with him. So many guys, it takes them a while to finally find that. And back in the 90s and the Attitude Era and stuff, guys were able to get over on their own. We're here, you don't have that ability. You just don't have that. You don't have that freedom to do it, and that sucks. Yeah, Andrew, good question on what's going to happen. I think it is Clash of Champions or Night of Champions. What's the? Let's look it up right here, real time. WWE pay-per-view schedule 2020. Oh, look, I've looked it up once because it's highlighted in purple. September 27th, Clash of Champions. Oh, look at that. It's in Orlando. Huh. How about that? I'm glad they're going back to Orlando. Those fans deserve it. Yeah, so the 27th, Clash of Champions, that's in a month. It's going to be 4 Sundays from now, I'm assuming, right? Yeah, 4 Sundays from now. That probably should be the Fiend and Braun Strowman, or I'm sorry, the Fiend and Roman Reigns. I'm also wondering when the hell that draft is going to happen, because I think some pieces here can be moved. I think Strowman can be moved. I think Randy Orton can be moved. I even think Heyman and Roman could potentially go back to Raw, and you swap those titles again. Hey, let's let Drew run on SmackDown for a while. I don't know. Maybe Randy Orton stays, and then the Universal title comes to him. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do there, but I think they're going to make some big changes. But in terms of Clash of Champions, we now have 4 weeks of TV to build for that. So Roman and the Fiend makes sense, but who knows where we'll be by then? Who knows what more will be learned about Retribution, if anything. Curious what Keith Lee is going to do, what Randy Orton's going to do, what Sasha and Bayley are going to do. Fake Diesel and fake Razor, so stupid. I got to admit, man, 1996 Greg wasn't against it. I thought it was weird, but I missed those characters. I did. And I was only 20 years old. And I was like, I missed hearing Diesel's music and Razor Ramon's music. And the WWE owned the characters, and they were so big and such a big part of the company. I was like, oh, this would be nice to see Razor and Diesel back. I mean, I knew it wasn't going to work. I knew it was going to suck, but I didn't hate seeing the characters back right at first. But that changed after just a couple of weeks when I realized, because we knew who they was going to be. We knew it was going to be Bogner playing Razor because all that information had gotten leaked. And we knew it was going to be Jacobs doing Diesel. So obviously they're not going to be Hall and Nash. But I thought it was just kind of cool to still see, like, I wanted them to be a tag team. Like, I knew that you couldn't realistically push Razor or Diesel individually because they're never going to be able to, equal what Scott and Kevin did. Even though Glenn Jacobs is a far better wrestler than Kevin Nash, but Scott Hall was a very good wrestler, and there are not too many better than him. So I thought it would have been better, since the Outsiders were kind of a thing in WCW, is if Razor and Diesel just stayed together as a tag team, and they pretty much did. And I think they even got a title shot. I think they even got a title shot at an In Your House against Owen and Bulldog, I think, and lost. But I thought they were going to put the tag titles on them. I really did. And I tried to like it, even though I knew it sucked and it was stupid. Part of me, was happy to see Razor and Diesel back in some form. It's kind of like now, we don't have fans back in the arena. It's like Razor and Diesel was the Thunderdome version of the real thing. It's like, yeah, we don't have real fans. We have sort of fans, just like we had with Razor and Diesel. Michael Cuomo, appreciate the $5. I can understand if a model like Rick Martel would refuse to wear a mask. Not fair for good-looking people. It is not. Poor Rick Martel having to shield his beautiful face. What a shame. That's another thing I don't know. Who Harley Quinn? She's like a superhero person. I have no idea. I suck with those type of references. But I know with the hair, like I've seen that, right? The little kind of punk rock looking chick. Again, is that anime? Is that superhero? Is that TV? Is that video game? It's got to be one of those. Which WrestleMania would I have wanted to see Sting versus Taker? WrestleMania 14. WrestleMania 14, because that would have been right off the Crow. Because Sting had the match with Starcade at Starrcade with Hogan. That was one that Brett was involved in. And then after that, it was WrestleMania. So yeah, I think it would have had to been 98. I'd go 98 on that. Because then by the time you got to 99, it's all too late. You know, Sting's already been in and out of the NWO twice. He's had red face paint for a while. You don't know what the fuck's going on. His character is just, you know, they destroyed it. So I think 98 would have been the best year. But then after that, after WCW folded, maybe like 04 or 05, after Taker had returned as the Dead Man, I'd say WrestleMania 14 in Boston or WrestleMania 21 in LA. One of those two. Anything after that, I think was almost too late. Yeah. Midwest Goon, that was SummerSlam 92. And I remember my friend, oh man, I can't remember how this happened. Martel and Michaels had a match at SummerSlam 92, but because they're both pretty boys, there was a stipulation to where neither guy could hit the other one in the face. And I remember Sherry Martel was backing up Sean at the time, and she didn't want to see either one of these guys get hit in the face. And I remember my friend saying to me, like, isn't that weird that Sherry is kind of like, has like a sexual crush on her brother? I was like, what do you mean? Sherry and Rick, they're brother and sister. I'm like, no, they're not. Like, yeah, they are. They even look alike. And I'm like, God damn, they do kind of. But they do. Sherry and Rick actually do look alike, but one's from like Louisiana, the other's from Montreal. They're not brother and sister. But it was funny. He was thinking that it was like weird that Sherry thinks her brother is hot kind of thing. I found that to be funny. Just a fun little memory about SummerSlam 92. Sting should have led the WCW invasion. Somebody should have. Sting, Hogan, Goldberg, Flair, whatever the biggest one you can get. None of them were there for that. Yeah, Sherry fainted. Sherry fainted in the match because she was so traumatized by these gorgeous specimens beating each other up, and then she fainted. Oh my God, pretty boyness has been destroyed. Roman should say that. Roman should, because that's another thing I didn't think about there, JC, because we were talking about how Roman came out at the end there, kind of took advantage of the situation, signed the contract. But who's to say that was his original plan? It's not like he stayed away. It's not like they introduced him and played his music and he didn't show up and they started the match without him. Braun took it upon himself to start the match for us. So once that happened, Roman's like, well, I'll just hang back here. So actually, Braun's the one that set this in motion. Braun's the one we should blame. Braun, it's your fault, you bald bastard. Oh, I didn't catch Bray's Joker move. That's cool though. He's very vocal though. You notice that when he's making those like screams. Not like Cactus Jack, kind of, you know, Jack would do those like hog squeals and shit. You know, he was doing that even before he was Mankind. But Bray kind of makes some noises. He's like, So I like it. I think it's kind of funny whenever I hear him like sounding like that. I usually crack up. Man. I don't know, Vincente. Good question there. If they decide to swap these belts around again, because if they do a draft, there's a really good possibility that the champions could move again. And I thought the Universal title was going to remain on Raw. That's why it was red, and see it be blue. It's so dumb. I mean, that's exactly why, instead of just constantly changing the color of your belt, just bring back the big gold belt. Why didn't you just do that? It's already got a legacy and a title history attached to it with a lot of great names holding it. Just bring back that championship. But instead, they created a second championship that looks exactly like the other one. It's just a different color, and that's so dumb. That's why WWE's dumb. They could have just brought back the big gold belt. We all miss it. It would look great around the waist of a Roman Reigns or anybody like that would hold it, and making your own is just dumb. And I said that when we speculated on the new belt when the Universal title was created, and before it was revealed, we talked about this way back in 2016. What's it going to look like and stuff? And then a lot of people were saying they should bring back the World Heavyweight title. And one of the first things I said, I'm like, number one, I would love that, but I don't think it's going to happen because there's not enough WWE logo on it. If you notice now, WWE's got to smear their shit everywhere. It's got to be all over their belts, all over your TV screen, all over the LEDs, all over the ring. WWE, WWE, WWE everywhere. That big gold belt, you know, unless you spray painted WWE on there like the NWO did, you're not going to be able to see that little logo in the top. And that's the type of shit that matters to WWE. And I wish that it didn't. It's not like we're going to forget that we're watching WWE if you don't have the damn logo staring in our face when you are holding the belt. So I didn't see it happening for that reason. And that was probably the biggest reason why they didn't bring back the gold belt, is because they couldn't have their ugly ass logo on there. And that is just annoying. That makes me mad. I missed the gold belt. They should have brought it back. Yeah, think about Roman coming down to the ring wearing it, you know? Anybody, a lot of guys, you know? Randy Orton, Drew McIntyre, oh my God. Imagine how that belt would look on him. I'd like to see Brock wear it again. Although Brock never really wore it, did he? Brock never had that belt until he beat Cena. He had it for like a second, right? He had it when he beat Cena, and then... When the hell did he lose that? I forgot when the hell he lost the belts. My memory's shot here. He beat Cena in 2014. Oh, yeah, he held it until WrestleMania, and Seth cashed in, right? But by then, they had combined them, I think, or unified them or something. How did that go? How'd it go? But yeah, the two belts thing. No, wait, shit. Daniel Bryan held it. Oh, that was prior to that. Yeah, my memory's shot. I can't remember. But yeah, that was really the only time he held it, and that doesn't even really count. You know, because it was just, you know, lumped in with the other one because they unified both of them at the end of 2013 with Randy Orton Cena. And then Orton dropped them in the triple threat to Bryan and Batista. And then Cena won them in that ladder match. Then Brock beat him for it. And then after that, I think they just made one belt. Do I have it right? Do I have that right? That's the way I think it happened. Oh, man, don't even get me started on the tag belts. Those things are horrible. I think the tag team titles should be a floating title. I think there should not be two sets of tag team titles. I think they should be treated just like the women, and it would give you a chance to have guys jump into shows if you booked them like that. I don't think it would be bad at all. The belts look like something you would win at the fair. That's true. Yeah, the NXT belts look better, but again, I mean, isn't the NXT title just a big NXT across it? But yeah, I still like I like the NXT heavyweight title more than the Universal. I do. Yeah, made a new one after Brock. That's the way I remember it happening. I just can't remember when. Was it on Raw, or they just decide to, I'm not carrying these two damn belts around anymore? But yeah, that's the only time that Brock held the big gold. And I always thought that was silly too, because they unified them, but then they kept the two together for so long. They unified them at the end of 2013, right? And it took them 9 months, 10 months, maybe even longer, depending on when they finally just made the one belt, to get rid of one. That was weird. I never understood that, especially when you take someone like Daniel Bryan, like a smaller wrestler, and he's got to walk out there carrying those two giant belts. It looked weird. Wasn't necessary. Best person to hold the big gold title, man, Flair. A lot of good guys held that, though. I still think of it with Flair. I mean, Dusty held that belt too. And then when you get into like the 90s and stuff, I mean, you had Hogan wore it, Goldberg, Sting, Brett, Nash. Gonna have to go Flair on that, though. Always look good on Flair. I think Flair looked the best not only with the big gold, but also with the NWA title that came before it. Oh yeah, the Rocket with the old logo. Yeah, because they changed the belts up a couple times. I remember on one night on TV, the Rock unveiled the new title after the ugly ass spinner belt. He unveiled that one. But then they had to change it again after they unified it and Brock won it, and then they had to tweak it up. It was still kind of looked the same, still had the big WWE logo in the middle, but is a little different. So they can't make their minds up, man. Their belts are ugly. Like, I'm an old school guy. Like, to me, there was no reason to ever change them. And I know that's not the way the world works, and you got to market stuff, and, you know, WWE wants to change things and evolve, but for a wrestling fan like me, you never needed to get rid of the Winged Eagle. You never needed to get rid of the Intercontinental or the original tags. that could have all stayed the exact same, and I'd be a much happier wrestling fan. But you can't make that replica belt money if you keep the same belts for years and years and years and years. Every time you create a new belt, hey, guess what? We can sell these for $500 a pop now on WWE Shop. But they never had to change anything. I just wish they would care more about history, and care more about the past and the legacies of some of these championships and what they mean and how far back they go. And it feels like they don't really give a shit about that anymore. They're a differently run company. The motives are different now, and nothing cool matters anymore. Yeah, in my mind, you never had to change any of them. Yeah, UK, the NXT UK has pretty belts as well. Barry, we all know you love that Undisputed title from 2002. I do not, and I'm in a minority there because a lot of my listeners love that belt. I just never liked it. I never liked it. I wasn't a big fan of the big blue one either. I was never a fan of anything after the Winged Eagle. To me, they screwed it up. But most fans all say that they like that universe or the Undisputed from 2002. I remember when they unveiled that too. Triple H was the first one to hold that for like a day, and then Hogan beat him for it. No, Midwest Goon, that was not the Winged Eagle. The belt that they made for Andre was just a replica of the belt that they used right before the Winged Eagle. I call it the Hogan 86 belt. And there's a couple indie titles that you can find that look a lot like it. So they basically just made that belt with a bigger strap. There wasn't really any differences from what I remember in the actual belt. And they had it out a couple times. I think they had it on Primetime Wrestling. Heenan was showing it off, but they never brought it to WrestleMania 3. It never, they never brought it out or anything like that. And, Andre wasn't going to win it. The Winged Eagle belt debuted on the night that Hogan dropped it. First time we ever saw the Winged Eagle belt was on that main event special in '88 when he faced Andre and lost the belt to him. So Hogan and Andre christened the Winged Eagle belt. They both held it in the same night on the belt's first night in the company. That's pretty cool. And they must have had it ready really late because what's funny, if you go back and watch that main event show, Hogan, they even though it was prime time, they treated it like a Saturday night's main event. It was set up the same way. You had the same pre-match interviews backstage with Mean Gene with the silver curtain and all that in the background. Hogan cut his promo with the old belt. He was wearing the 86 belt, but then when he came out to the ring, he was wearing the Winged Eagle. And he even looked different. I think in the interview, he was all oiled up and he had a bandana. And then when he came out for the match, he had his hair down and dry. It's just, it was obviously taped weeks prior to that. They probably taped it at the previous sets of TVs or the previous Saturday night's main event taping. They probably just knocked all that shit out then. So it did look weird seeing Hogan in the interview and then coming out with a brand new championship belt. And they made no mention of it. That's the thing. Like back then, they would just like quietly do these things. Who was on commentary? Vince and Jesse. And they didn't say like, oh, look at that new belt Hogan's got. That's pretty. That looks good. Look at it. They didn't say anything. They just didn't say anything. It's like, hey, here's a new belt. There you go. But Andre did hold it. He held it for 30 seconds, but he did hold it. And he is a former champion. Yeah, 33 million people watching that night. I was one of them. I still have the original recording right off of TV, complete with 1988 North Carolina commercials. And I remember being kind of bummed that Hogan lost. I remember my mom checked on me, made sure I was okay. I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. And then a month later, we watched WrestleMania 4. Watched Savage win the title. That was the first pay-per-view I ever watched from my home. Was WrestleMania 4. Oh God, top 5 gimmicks. That's a video. I'd rather do a video on top 5 gimmicks. But I almost think if we did a top 5 worst gimmicks video, that some of those 96 gimmicks would just have to be automatically scrapped because they all came together and they were all at a really weird time in WWE when they had this obsession with wrestlers having jobs and having real professions. So we saw mailmen and plumbers and trash men and all that crap. So if you kind of get rid of all of them and not include them, it might be a more fun list to make, to talk about some of the really dumb gimmicks. But otherwise, you can just put, oh, that's easy. The Goon, the Stalker, T.L. Hopper, Freddie Joe Floyd, Duke the Dumpster Drosy, Who, Salvatore Sincere. Oh, man, who else? Yeah, they brought a lot of those guys, and they brought in, Tom Brady and Dirty White Boy and Bill Irwin to do all these like really, really stupid gimmicks, and they were just so dumb. And I think if you eliminate that cluster, it would be more fun to think about some of the really bad gimmicks. Like WCW had a bunch, the Ding Dongs, Oz, the Kiss Demon, so many of the Yeti. We can't do a top 5, Mike Witt. We got to do a top 25 because there's no way you can do 5. Battle Cat, it's another good one too. Oh yeah, Isaac Yankem. See, there's too many. You can't do 5. It's got to be like top 10 or something, or top 20. Yeah, I remember Triple H saying it was his idea for Hogan to lose the title. He might have just been saying that. Vince wanted that. I mean, even as a fan that despised Hogan during the Monday Night Wars, I got to admit, seeing him come back in after a decade like that and get cheered, it was, it was crazy, and then he was on SmackDown and got that big ovation and he was crying and everything. It was cool. And I'm glad, like, that's one thing that they did right, and with the Hogan run is they did it. Nice little nostalgia run, but they didn't make him champ for a year. They didn't make him champ for 4 months until SummerSlam. It was like 3.5 weeks. He won it at Backlash, dropped it to Taker. In a very rare DVD, I have it, the Judgment Day up there. Apparently it's like rare. It's expensive. So I got a rare one up there, but that's all. That's all it took, So I didn't mind that. I don't mind the taste of it. Just don't cram it down my throat. The same thing with Goldberg. He beat Kevin Owens, which sucked. Don't get me wrong, but he dropped it right away. And he did the same thing with the Fiend, although I think the Fiend was much more damaging, and he still dropped it, a month later to Braun Strowman. So provided these nostalgia runs don't last forever, I don't mind. I cannot believe that WWE put the belt on Hogan, but didn't put it on Ric Flair. There was a match in 2003 on Raw with Triple H. It was in Greenville, South Carolina, and it was the main event, and Triple H was aligned with Ric Flair, but they did kind of like they had this little rift between them during the show, and I think it was a title match, right? Title match, or maybe the title wasn't on the line. But the match with Triple H on Raw, we all remember it. Triple H won, and then after the show went off the air, they had a nice big tribute to Ric Flair, which was almost like the precursor or the appetizer to his big retirement ceremony that we would see 5 years later. Everybody came out to the ring. Triple H got on the mic, put the belt on his shoulder and cut a promo about how influential he was. He was right there in Horseman territory too, in South Carolina. He had a beer open and they were having a great time. One of the best Raw moments of all time. I think you could have gotten away with putting the title on him that night. I don't remember if it was a title match or not. I want to say it was, but I think that if he would have won and then lost the title right back, like 3 weeks later, 1 week later, I don't care. Just lost the title right back just to give him that run, one more time on top of the WWE plus that belt. It's not like it's the WWE title. That was the World Heavyweight title that Triple H held. So for Ric Flair to win that one is even more significant, I think, and even more of a reason for them to do it. Where if he was winning the WWE title at that time, wouldn't have been the same, because back then that would have been the ugly undisputed title that Barry loves, right? So that belt, the big gold belt, would have been perfect for him just to win one time. If they did it for Hogan, why would you not do it for Flair? I mean, I know Hogan was a bigger part of WWE and is arguably the bigger name, but Flair is, a lot of people consider to be the greatest professional wrestler of all time. So if Hogan deserved it, I think Flair deserved it. And as a matter of fact, I think Flair deserved it a little more. So I'm surprised they didn't do that in 2003, especially since that was after Hogan's run. Hogan's came in 2002. So you fast forward a year, do the same thing. I would have loved to see it. He could have dropped it right back to Triple H, like immediately. The next week, 2 weeks later, just to have Flair come out there, introduced as champion, maybe cut a promo as champion, something like that would have been a nice little treat for the wrestling fans, I think, back then, at least for me, because I'm old. Yeah, sorry, Barry. Sorry about your love affair with the 2003 title. By the way, Barry's sponsoring a review coming up in October. TNA Bound for Glory 2010, 10-year anniversary of that. Jeff Hardy, I guess, turns heel, wins the title, and all that stuff. Supposedly a pretty fun show. And we'll be reviewing that coming up next month. It was a title match. Thank you for that, Victor. Yeah, so like they should have done it. Why didn't they do it? Oh, I didn't even notice. What, you mean tonight, Ryan? I have to watch the bump that Charles takes when the ring collides. Was Little Nate the ref? I don't pay attention to refs either. Was he the ref tonight? Did he fall hard? Did he eat shit? Oh, poor Nate. I'm actually scrolling here through Twitter right now. Oh yeah, somebody mentioned, I talked about Alexa Bliss being pregnant with a little Fiend. Somebody said it would be like a modern day Lita and Kane. That's true, because Lita did become impregnated with a little red machine, right? All right, back to the chat. All right, he flew out of the ring. I don't know how I missed that. Like I said, I was only kind of like eyeballing it there, so I didn't totally see. But now that we are approaching 2 hours, I'll probably go ahead and get out of here because we've been streaming a lot. We streamed Friday night was an impromptu stream after Roman Reigns was revealed to have aligned himself with Paul Heyman. I'm like, we got to go live. And we were up here for like an hour talking about that. Then we had a good 2.5 hour podcast on Saturday or yesterday, and now we've been up here for another 2, and you'll get me tomorrow night for another 2. So I better get up on out of here. Oh, I didn't know that, Barry. 10, 10, 10. Didn't even think about that. Happens only once a century. That's right. And the year after that, we had 11, 11, 11. That was really awesome. Oh, yeah, Snitsky. Oh, my God. Where did I see something with Snitsky lately? Was he on like a Where Are They Now thing or something? I saw something on Gene Snitsky not long ago on the network or something. I thought he was all right. It's not my fault. There's a guy, I can't think of his name. He's not one of the main ones. Back in the day during, the Jackass movies and stuff. And I had cousins that lived in Westchester, so they knew like Bam Margera and Ryan Dunn and guys like that. There was another one that wasn't in their inner circle. And I don't remember his name, but he facially looks exactly like Snitsky. Except not as big. He's just a small little wormy-ass kid. Where Snitsky's huge. And they're both like from Pennsylvania. And there's something about that Pennsylvania look, because I have family there. And I'm like, yeah, they kind of look like they have that voice. There's a certain, I can't pinpoint it, but I had to drive up to Scranton one time, Pennsylvania, which I'll never forget, to be a best man at a wedding. And my God, you can talk about the armpit of the world. I think Joe Biden is from there, actually. Man, what a horrible place. And they had this accent, and I can't it's not New England, it's not New York, but it's Pennsylvania, and I can't describe it. And Snitsky kind of sounds the same way, and the guy that he looks like in the Jackass crew is the same. And I always remember my cousins, they always talked with that. They had that little drawl in the end or whatever it is. But I'll never forget my time up in Scranton. I stopped at a Burger King there and got some chicken McNuggets. I was horrified. I was like scared. It's in the middle of the day, but I'm like, I could get the F up out of here. I even left the night early, like after the wedding was over. Like I gave my buddy a hug. I gave him the wedding present. I was supposed to leave the next morning. I got in my car in my tux and started driving like the 14 hours back down to North Carolina because I just want to get the fuck out of there so bad. I drove through the night because it was like, I didn't think I left until midnight. Plus I'd had some drinks, so I had to kind of, sober up. So I remember driving, I had the windows down. I was like blasting like Guns N' Roses and like heavy metal music, trying to, get through. And I just toughed it out. I stopped at a Waffle House and ate, and I got some energy drinks, and I drove, like for whatever it was. I didn't get home till like the next afternoon or the next night. Super late. It was such a long ass drive to get all the way back down there, but I did it. I just could not wait to get out of Scranton. I'm like, I got to go. Scranton is not for Greg. I don't belong here. So I ran screaming like a madman. Your brother went to Bam's house a few years ago. Hope Bam is doing well, man. He was not looking good. One guy who is looking good, though, is Steve-O. He's got his own YouTube channel. He's doing fabulous things. He had Bam as a guest on his channel. They went camping at the beach here in California somewhere. Bam did not look good. He's gained a lot of weight. He's on drugs. I think he battles with depression and stuff like that. But he seemed to be doing a little better. So whatever's going on with him, I hope he's doing well. He's had he had a rough go. Ryan Dunn died, and he had all that money and all that fame at such a young age, and it took its toll. Fame will do that to young people. Top 5 bald wrestlers. Damn, you got to really make me think here. Bald wrestlers. There's that one guy that I liked. He wrestled in like the late 90s. and he was always drinking like wine coolers. Oh no, it was beer. He was always drinking beer. Kind of had a goatee like mine, sort of, just not quite as good looking. I forget his fucking catchphrase. He was okay. He won some matches and pinned some people. He was all right. Whatever his name was, he'll probably be number one. Does Kane count? Kane was bald for a little while. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to go back further. I'm trying to go back in the 80s. Who the hell was bald in the 80s? Bundy was bald. Bam Bam. Bam Bam Bigelow's got to be on the list. I can't think right now. I got to really do some thinking. 90s, 80s, 70s. Nikita Koloff. Ivan Koloff. Superstar Billy Graham. Well, when he was in his prime, he had hair. I don't know. Some of those guys. Definitely Bam Bam. Faux show. Gilbert. Oh, Goldberg, yeah. Gilbert's number one. I always say Scranton like that. Scranton. Like, oh my God. I'll never forget my trip to Scranton. I'm like, okay, let's write this down. Never visit that town again. It had a funny smell to it, like, because that's where my buddy's wife was from. She lived in some shithole near there, and so like they had their reception at this like Elks Lodge, and I remember like walking in there, and it just smelled like old people and like Metamucil or something. It just had this really strange. It smelled like my grandma's basement. Like everywhere we went, it had this odd smell. Like everything just old. Everything just looked old there. They looked like they were 50 years behind in technology than the rest of the world. They're just up in the mountains in the middle of nowhere. There's like nothing to do up there. So I'm like, yeah, how could you live here your whole life? I'd go out of my mind. As Harvey Keitel says in Pulp Fiction, move out of the sticks. Headbanger Mosh. Does Vader count? I don't know. Vader's got some hair. Vader's got some red hair. George Steele, maybe. Hogan. Yeah, actually Hogan would Hogan and Savage probably be the top ones. Yeah, you got to include Hogan. That's for sure. Yeah, maybe one day. I like these little topics. I need to start doing some like top fives and stuff. I need to do more of that stuff. So something random like that, like top five. Except I want to do more than five. I don't want to do top 10. You know, maybe I just have to do top 10s. You know, top 10 bald wrestlers, top 10, whatever you asked for earlier on. Should do some more of those. They might have to be in live stream form. You know, I'll get all my notes ready. I'll formulate my top 10 and then we'll come up here and talk about them. That might be fun. Some top 10 live streams one day. Why not? We'll look into it. Kurt Angle. Baron Von Raschke. I don't know if he'd go down as one of the greatest, but I like Baron. I have memories of Baron Von Raschke, watching him in the AWA and the Claw and all that stuff. The Rock counts. The Rock counts. Yeah, technically, The Rock, Triple H, Kurt Angle, and Steve Austin are all both. So yeah, if you want to do that, I'd go Rock, Austin, Angle, Kane, Triple H. Top 5. There you go. Done. But he was still bald. That's the thing. There's like a stipulation there. There's an asterisk there. Yeah, if you want to do top 5 bald wrestlers, top 5 bald forever, or if you were bald once, does that count? You know, or if you were bald really late in your career, does that count? Because if that's the case, Kane counts, Triple H counts, The Rock counts, Angle counts. They all count. Austin counts. Austin had a long career. Austin wrestled 10 years before he shaved his head. So, you know, you can make the same argument that it wouldn't work for Austin either. Abdullah the Butcher. Shawn Michaels. That's true. Shawn's on the list too. See, that's why we can't do top 5. That's not enough. Not enough. Just like the worst gimmicks one. Yeah, Shawn Michaels is technically on there. CM Punk, another good one. He lost his hair in a match, right? So he should count too. Yeah, that might be fun. Bald wrestlers. There's a whole bunch of them in the Dark Order. Top 5 jobbers. Oh my God. Speaking of jobbers, a couple weeks ago was randomly watching some episodes of Primetime Wrestling. There was a really interesting 6-man match on there that I actually tweeted about because it had Brett and Bruno in the same match. It was like Brett, it was the Hearts and Honky taking on Bruno and Jake Roberts and Tito, I think. Was it Tito? I think it was Tito. In like 87 or 86 or something like that. And you saw Brett and Bruno like mix it up a little bit. And I was like, I never thought they were ever in the ring together, ever. This has to be the only match. And so I tweeted my amazement about this match that I found on that same exact show. Iron Mike Sharp got a victory on TV. I can't remember who he was wrestling now. He was wrestling, I think maybe C.V. Offee or Brady Boone or somebody like that, like another jobber like him. But they basically had a jobber match. It might have been C.V. Offee, I think. And I'm like watching this. I'm like, these guys are jobbers. One of them's got to win. And Iron Mike Sharp got the win. So he has not always lost. He was a big guy. And I know he won some matches outside of WWE, but in WWE, he was primarily a jobber, even though he had a gimmick. He had the foreign object in his forearm, kind of like Luger, and he would hit his opponents with it. But normally, they would counter it and beat him or whatever, and he'd be grunting and growling the whole time. But he actually won a match on TV. But Iron Mike Sharp would have to be my number one. Dwayne Gill, not Patrick Duffy, but Chris Duffy, Barry Horowitz, Jack Foley. There's been all sorts of good ones. Molly Holly counts. Baron Corbin, he wouldn't even make my top million. No, I'm kidding. I feel like Baron Corbin's one of those guys where I feel like I have the right to shit on him, but nobody else does. I don't know why I think that. I'm an enigma. Who beat Mike Sharp's ass? Somebody kicked his ass, and I can't remember. It's almost like the Dick Slater Sting story. You know, like Slater beat the shit out of Sting and stuck his head in the toilet at some show back in the day. Somebody beat up Mike Sharp, and I can't remember who it was. Oh, yeah, Mike Bell. Mike Bell got his bell rung against Perry Saturn in that horrible, gnarly match. I can't remember who beat up Mike Sharp, but there was like a backstage fight, and it might have been Billy Jack Haynes. Might have been Billy Jack. Somebody beat up Mike Sharp. I just heard about it like in the last couple of years, and I was like, oh, that's sad. I don't like to hear that. Tommaso Ciampa, he certainly belongs. Yeah, I don't remember. But anyway, this has been fun. We've just been literally shooting the shit here for the past half an hour. We haven't had much to talk about after we got through with the results here, but it was fun as always. Appreciate the decent audience being in here tonight and hanging out with us. Don't forget to catch us tomorrow, immediately following Monday Night Raw. We're going to do it all over again, and that'll be the 4th day in a row. And then after that, you're going to get me 3 days next week as well, since we've got all-out predictions, all-out review, and a really fun Roddy Piper stream coming up 1 week from today, next Sunday. So you guys, take care. Thanks again, and I appreciate y'all being here. I'll catch you tomorrow night. Be good. Peace.